And we're live.
It never gets old.
The
intro never gets old.
Hey.
But I see Peter, you joined us. Dude, you're off camera now. Like, just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down whether you want to be on camera. Still thumbs up? All right, we're gonna do it.
The unveiling. Hey,
we got Peter.
Right.
Cigar Collective. Never seen your face.
Yeah, we're gonna
dude,
do
welcome. Yeah.
Nice,
good. Yeah.
Nice
coming
to
in well,
see
man.
everybody.
Nice to see you.
You're more than just a hand.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's this one. Yeah.
Nice, dude. Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for for being the mod and for all this obviously all the cigars that you've bombed us with incessantly. So thank you for that too, man.
Yeah,
no problem. My pleasure,
very much, man.
Very nice,
very generous dude.
Yeah, extremely generous dude. Too generous of a dude. But
that's what happens when you buy too many boxes and you can't smoke them all. You got to give them away.
Yeah. Before they turn to nothing, before they just like lose all their flavor, which would take a long time, but still, you're taking extra measures, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
But Michael, it looks like you have a guest next to you. Would you like to introduce your buddy?
Yes. So,
hey guys. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can introduce yourself. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Vlada Stojanov. I do Lampert cigars in the United States, so I'm distributor. I handle basically the United States for them, and then Mike's a friend. We hang out at our local lounge, which is in Fuego, and some other lounges in Vegas.
You had a chance to meet a couple of the guys during PCA?
Yeah, I had a chance to meet a bunch of people at PCA. So Kenny's saying hi. Hey, Kenny. So yeah,
what's up,
that's
Kenny?
it. Really.
Yeah, it's
Nice,
currently
man.
about 110 outside, so I was able to find refuge at my local lounge in Fuego, and
you're a lucky
they were
man.
kind enough. Yes, indeed.
What's the weather like in DFW?
Only 100, so it's okay.
You got to pump those numbers.
It's only 100. Oh.
Buddy of mine
that
shared
sucks.
a picture from this morning. It was like 125 in his car, because I'm assuming it was just roasting the outside.
In Texas?
Yeah, in San Antonio.
Yeah, man, we've having feels like 115s and shit like that. It's miserable to go outside.
Yeah.
So I sorry, go ahead.
No, you go, man. You go.
I got a little inside joke that I keep doing with buddies from the East Coast. So everybody comes to Vegas, right, for PCA, and they're like, "Hey, it's it's really hot here." And his go-to line, just like filler text, is, "Yeah, but it's a dry heat." So we just ran a game for like who can say it the most time. Just insert it into a conversation, just naturally.
Yeah.
And we were like, the whole setup is we were neck and neck. So he got it 17 times. I got it 17 times in one day. And then in the evening, like 11:45 at Luca Bar, someone comes up in front of us. There's like 3 of us there. And he's like, "Yeah, man, today's just been so hot." And I sneak in, "Yeah, but it's a dry heat." And the guys are like, "Really? Pour me a beer."
It is, man. I would take a dry heat, like we walked down to like, the Flamingo Strip area, got some food down there, and it's roasting. It was 100 plus that day, but you walk outside in Texas and it's like you get a nice wet blanket put on your back at the same time. And I'm like, I'll take the oven heat over just the as soon as you go outside any day. Any day.
100%.
We're swimming over here in Connecticut.
Yeah, well, what are the temps out like there?
It's only 77, but man, it's humid. It's really humid. It's like 90% humidity.
Ugh.
It's a fun day.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, and humidity doesn't help with the hair either. So.
It's 74 degrees here, and
the Mets just sitting in Laguna, California. Yeah.
Get your jacket ready.
Nothing to complain about.
The back-breaking weather.
Yeah. So Peter, how long have you been smoking for? Like, we don't know anything about you, or at least I don't know anything about you. Like,
yeah,
when did you get in the hobby? Yeah.
So growing up, my dad always smoked like a pipe, or he was like an occasional cigar smoker for events or whatnot. So I kind of toyed around with cigars back then with my dad, but it was always like, you know, anything in a tubo, anything Monte Cristo or, you know, Romeo and Julieta, pretty basic stuff. And then, you know, last year I got injured. I hurt my arm and I couldn't do like any of my normal hobbies. So I was, you know, I had to get some surgeries done and go through the whole process of healing my arm up. So I needed something to do because, you know, I play guitar. I couldn't do that. I play hockey. I couldn't do that. You know, I love working out. I couldn't do that. So it's like, man, I got to find something to kill some time at the end of the day and just relax. So then I just started going back and picking up some cigars and smoking them. And then I was like, well, I got to keep track of what I'm smoking. So I started the Instagram page, and I was like, this way I can go through and put a little rating on everything I'm smoking. A little journal to put it all together. And then you start YouTubing and you find all you guys. And I was like, all right, well, this is a rabbit hole I'm going in. and it's just been off the cliff ever since. It's been buying boxes, 5-packs, watching releases, you know, trying to make new friends, you know, share cigars, send bombs to people. And
so you've only been doing this for a year.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, my surgery was actually a year ago today. And that's when I was like, I got to do something,
man.
Yeah, I mean, I was an occasional smoker. I had a humidor that I would buy a 5-pack for, but it was nothing more than just what I knew. So, you know, to me, a cigar was just, you know, whatever my dad was smoking, which was pretty basic stuff. But now it's off into the deep end. Yeah.
You had a surface level understanding until a year ago.
For sure. Yeah.
Jesus.
It's awesome.
Jesus, dude. Yeah. Fuck, man. To be where you're at in the hobby after like a year, it's pretty impressive, man. And doing sending out the quality of bombs that you send out too. Holy crap.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. You know, it used to be Peter the guitar collector, and cigars are way cheaper. And I don't really play guitar that much anymore, so I could buy a shit ton of boxes for the price of a guitar.
Yeah.
So I'm probably saving money in the long run, right?
Yeah.
What are we smoking tonight, fellas?
That's a good question.
Are you going to answer it this time?
I was going to make a comment.
That's a good question.
Vlad just handed me the Ocean Breeze for the first time, so
that's a sick cigar.
I will get an opportunity to smoke this finally.
And you know what's tight about Vlad? This is what's tight about Vlad. He talked about like little intro for himself. He didn't mention his own fucking cigar. You just mentioned Lapper.
Not once did you mention your own cigar, bro.
So we have a cigar brand, which is a fun little project. It's called the Somm. So my background's hospitality. I'm a sommelier, which is
Mike.
I specialize in wine.
Can you move your mic closer to him?
Yeah.
Yep. No, you're fine.
All right,
go for it.
So basically, I went down to Honduras and worked with my good friends from FCT, right? Cavalier, Brian, and Sebastian. And they had a very, very interesting tobacco I've never had a chance to try before, which is Honduran broadleaf. Super limited. To my knowledge, there's only one other cigar that uses it, at least publicly that I know of, which is Alec Bradley Double Broadleaf. And even then, they primarily focus on Connecticut broadleaf, and this is kind of used as a little extra. In my cigar, I did the opposite. I kind of made it a focal point of the blend, and we literally made the blend on the table, in the kitchen table. I got pictures, and I rolled the most awful looking cigar with the most wide open draw. Like you could park an airplane, literally, like how. But yeah, I rolled it and smoked that. And was, wow, this is pretty cool. So I gave it to Brian. He took a few puffs. He's like, yeah, I think there's something here. We took it to the floor. rolled it, made 5 little Robustos, tried, and I'm like, that's it. Blend itself is San Andreas with Viso Jalapa, both aged for 3 years. Then you have Viso Jalapa and San Andreas in the filler, and then a 2-year-old Khmer Brother. The first vintage, at least according to my knowledge, was in 2020.
Yeah.
All the cigars were made last year in June or December for this release that's coming out. And Honduran Broadleaf gives this beautiful, like if you like bourbon and you're familiar with that grain sweetness, right? Like almost like oat
Cereal.
sweetness, cereal sweetness, right? That's going to be right off the bat. There's a ton of walnuts and just nutty fruits in general, but primarily walnut, especially in the larger size where there was a little bit more room. So we added extra in our broadleaf, really. It really shines through. You get this beautiful walnut note, pecans, like a touch of bitter walnuts as well. And you can kind of differentiate it. It's not from, it being a young cigar or anything along or over humidified or under humidified. It's primarily it comes from that. So it hits you on the front palate and quickly dissipates and changes into sweet walnuts. So yeah, that's kind of the short story. The other one was made at Kellner Boutique Factory in Dominican Republic by Hendrik. That's the one that has over 50 years worth of aged tobacco. I've made the classic mistake of anybody who makes those cigars in small runs that I didn't keep enough for myself. So I have 7. So I'm going to smoke those with my dad, with my godfather, and like one more friend. I mean, you got a box. I actually have the original. So I have the original.
You gave me
sample.
one. I put it on the channel.
I have the original sample.
Oh, the original sample.
The original sample from 2020.
Oh, wow.
So there's like literally 2 of those left in the world. But yeah, I made the classic mistake of not saving enough. But yeah, if anybody had a chance to try them, I mean, I'd like to hear feedback or not.
And Michael and I both have a review of those cigars. One's on my channel, one's on
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
I haven't looked at either. I'm like, I don't want to know what my baby. But no, it was really, really fun. And I don't want to say I blended that. I did not. I talked to Hendrik and I literally approached him and I'm like, hey, I want to use something unique, something old, something, you haven't used before. And ended up being this wrapper from 1997, ended up being a binder from 2008 from his sister's farm in what is Monte Plata or Yamasa region, right? So, and then there was the Zimbabwe tobacco that I've only smoked once before, but I've never smoked it as a burrito. And Hendrik's like, hey, I think this is the upgrade instead of the Nicaraguan that we initially used, and it really was. So very, very, he took my vision and like created it, blended it as he does masterfully. So I take no credit apart from being like, hey, I want to do something cool.
Yeah, that's like a mad scientist cigar right there with the components that are in it. That's like the Zimbabwean tobacco. That's freaking like the closest thing I've had to puro Zimbabwean was that 20 or 550 or 25. It's some
52 or 20, 52 or 25. One of those. The Darren makes principle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like 90%. Yeah. And it's cool, right? It's completely different.
It's not great, but it's unique. It gives you that's why I got it. I'm like, oh, it's almost like a Zimbabwean puro. I'm like, who the fuck knows? But it was worth it for the experience. You want to explore. You want your palate to explore.
Yeah,
and that's exactly it. And I remember Darren at the show. He was like, "Yeah, we did that. We did that cigar, and then we wanted to make the time to burn, but we want to use Zimbabwe tobacco, but make it good. make the cigar good instead." But
it definitely is a unique experience, 100%. As to if I could like see this as a regular production, like something that's like continuously in my rotation, probably not. Not because it's a bad cigar or anything, just like it's cool. I've smoked for the full like 10 count. I smoked for that full 10 count where I'm like, okay, cool. I want to experience something completely different. First time around, Stefan actually Lampert brought me Canary Island cigars, Canary Island puros. Completely different from everything we smoke. Very, very different. There's a beautiful note of like literally peanut butter in there. I'm not exaggerating. Like I took a puff and I'm like, Yeah. Chunky peanut butter.
That's dope. That's
dope.
awesome.
It's really something. So yeah, if anybody ever ends up in the Canary Islands, please grab some local cigars there. Something pretty unique.
That's cool, man.
Awesome. Man.
And I saw a comment. I think Brian Donald. He asked what I thought about the RS88 Connecticut. No,
Lancero.
What was it? It was.
Lancero.
Oh
You
yeah,
did the
the
Habano.
RS80. Yeah, I did the Habano. That's the one I smoked yesterday. It could just be a preference thing. It was very good, but I still prefer the Toro. It's just that's just what my palate goes for.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now Boot was making some noise.
Das Boots, man. Get to
Damn,
the
man.
end. You got to turn it.
That's all.
Yeah, that I had it slightly adjusted to get an air pocket.
So
What's everyone starting with?
So I'll go first. I just lit up the Pitoro Terre Blanche. This is the Robusto.
Yeah,
Such a
man.
good cigar.
I haven't had the Robusto yet.
I think I did have the. Does it come in a Corona?
They have the Lancero. the Toro.
Lancero, Toro, and Robusto.
Yeah.
Then I had the Robusto smoke. There were some good friends out in the East Coast. They gave me that. It was really, really good. Really something different. One of the few cigars that was like, wow, this is something really different. In a good way.
I walked up. I don't know the gentleman's name, but I walked up to the guy at the show, the Pitoro guy.
You
very
beeline
well.
to the guy.
I was like
He was
delirious
there, and
at this
Matt
point.
just.
He was like, hey, I really like your cigars.
No, I was deliriously tired. I was deliriously tired from the night before, and it was like late in the day. I wanted to go home, but I had to do an interview with Joe Knows. So and I just saw this guy.
It
I
was
like,
3
that's
o'clock in the
Pitoro.
afternoon.
Yeah, yes, it
late in the
was.
day.
And I didn't even drink. I'm just that much of a wuss.
No,
But-
Matt was dead, a zombie walking around, and we passed Pitoro once, and no one was there. And the second time he looped, he saw someone, and then it was the fastest I've seen him move all day. He was just right there. I love your cigars, and the guy was like, "Oh, I'll give you some."
Shit.
And I was like, "Well, shit."
I can tell. Like I was just like Pitoro Terre Blanche, Pitoro Terre Blanche. Oh my god, it's so fucking like. The guy's probably just like, "Holy shit!" Like, okay, dude, here, have some. I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is going to be one of those nerds that's just going to possibly be creepy.
It's exactly what happened.
I think
I
he
love
got
the
like
Corona.
very little interaction, and then Matt made his day because he was like, "I
Yeah.
fucking love your cigars," and then he tuned it
Yeah.
down. And he's like, "I really like your cigar."
We're definitely. Where's is EKB making it? Is Keely
I don't
making
think
it tonight?
so. He said
Man,
he
I
wished
think-
us the best.
Yeah, he said he had a busy week. He said he might pop up in the chat, but he had a busy weekend.
No, I mean he probably would have loved to have bounced some ideas off of Vlad after I saw his live where he was like, I just want to be at PCA to ask everybody about the blending process and then bringing a cigar into market and treating it like it's your baby. I tried to help out tonight. It didn't work out, but we'll do it again. We'll do it again, right, bud? Pete,
there
what
he
are you
is.
smoking, dude? Oh, you hear his name?
He's out with the family.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna smoke a bowl, but since Vlad's on, I went and got my favorite Lampert, the Golden Retailer.
Oh, hell
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's, chocolate brownie.
Oh, I love this cigar.
I love it too. It's such a cool process. So that was aged for a year before release. So at this point, we released it last year. At this point, it's 2 years. Outside is Ecuadorian Habano, aged for 3 years. The binder is Condega, aged for 3 years, and then the filler is the same farm 3, 5, and 7. Right, same filler. It's only 5,000 made, so you know, if you get a box, you take someone who's good at math. So that's 0.2, right? 10 count box. 0.2 production. Okay, cool. Yes, I mean that's pretty cool. I love it. You get a ton of that chocolate sweetness, and if you had Jaffa cakes before, right, like where you get the chocolate with orange, Condega to me almost not always, but like has this innate sweetness of orange citrus, like orange marmalade. So I get a ton of that. It's just a commitment. I actually have a box here for my personal stash to be displayed at the PCA. So we're like, yeah, cool, man. Thank you. I was
Thank you.
now I'm like blushing. You can't really see it. The camera is like really good, but the glare is there. So.
Is there a natural Humidor for that cigar, or what's the wrappers?
Two completely different blends. You're right, but there are two. So there's a 2020 Limitada that's a Salomon out of Tabacos de Costa Rica. So that one is Ecuadorian Connecticut, aged for 3 years out of their own farm in Ecuador. And then the binder and filler are 5 years and 7 years. Undisclosed, it was made for Stefan's shop in Switzerland initially. And as the brand landed and grew, and I'm like, okay. Right, smaller brands have a way of have to find a way to kind of compete and reward the retailers that really get behind them. So we're like, okay, cool. We're gonna grab a handful of retailers that are really supportive of us, and we're gonna make it available to them and their customers. So the first time around, I think we had, off the top of my head, I think it was like 10 or 12 shops that it went to, and then the following year it went to, I believe, like 17 total. But we keep it pretty limited, pretty tight in terms of how much gets out there. Mostly to kind of recognize the hard work they do in bringing the cigars to their customers and championing our stuff instead of something else. It's always fun to do it because it's not like, okay, cool, we're just going to slap it. It's always a unique blend. It's always limited to 5,000 cigars. Always rests for a year. So this year, we rolled the stuff in November. October or November last year. It's going to be a Toro, super limited production out of Tabacos de Costa Rica again.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And yeah, you really love the Limitada, right? The 2020 one, the Ecuadorian. And then we upgraded the box.
Can't say no.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, that made definitely the list for sure. That was awesome. This is actually really tasty too. So I'm smoking the Ocean Breeze by Lampert, my first one.
Yeah.
And I think that Vlad is just finishing up his Azul.
Cool.
Nice.
I'm starting out with something lovely. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's the Lovely cigars from the Lovely guys.
Lovely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't had a chance to try that.
It's pretty solid. I met them serendipitously at PCA. He heard my lighter and came over to talk to me, and it's good. I'm happy.
DJ also had retailer on his badge, so
I did. I had people
lighter,
like,
but the fact that he could buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but as soon as they start looking, I'd be like, no, eyes up here, and I'm not a retailer.
Eyes up here.
I cannot buy your shit, or I will not buy your shit.
Do you know where it's made? I know nothing about the cigar, so if you please enlighten me if you know.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you watch my video today, Mike will tell you all about it in it.
Okay.
It's Nicaragua. Yeah, I don't know what factory, but it's Nicaraguan.
Yeah,
it's Esteli somewhere. It's a multi-Nicaraguan blend with I think a San Andreas binder.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That narrows it down. Yeah. Factory in Esteli, and we'll Google it right now.
Yeah. You'll get far. Yeah. Oh man. So is it hot, DJ?
It's very hot.
Yeah.
I can't tell if the pump on my fan is working or it's just that fucking hot, but is what it is. It's Texas.
Things we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Things we do to be influencers.
If John makes it on, he's gonna be worse than me because he's got like a tower fan and outside. I at least have a garage. Not that that's much better because there's no breeze.
Yeah.
Do you really want the breeze though?
I mean, yeah.
Hot breeze. Yeah.
I feel like a turkey in an oven. Convection of an air fryer.
It's moist. I will say that.
So what do we want to start with about PCA, just in general?
I
mean,
this is a cool thing too because we get to see from like the retailer's perspective as well. I mean, from the manufacturer's perspective as well with Vlad here. So that's cool. Like for me, just it was a blur of an experience just because of how, and like DJ mentioned this in the video, DJ and I both experienced this. Like they say the show is from the 7th to the 11th.
It
like,
is not on Friday.
I plan to be there for the first day of the show,
Same.
Friday, and I thought that would be the show. It was all preliminary, like just first stage bullshit. So that was kind of lame. Obviously, you had to be there the day before to register, so you had to be there either way. But if I would have known, if I would have gone to like shows before, I would have scheduled a show up late Friday, and then just to make sure I was there in time to register, and then stay 2 more days after. But because of the way I scheduled it, I was there for only a full day Saturday, and then I left Sunday. So that, just schedule wise, it was just it was a little confusing that way.
The seminars are worth it. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get the chance. It was so busy. I didn't get a chance to go the last 2 years. But they're typically good, especially like if you end up with, I think this year they had EPC right on there and Cochi Blanco, like doing a blending seminar or something.
Yeah.
I forget what it was, but it's cool because you can they'll open the floor to questions and you can literally ask, how the sausage is made, like how do they do it?
Yeah.
And, between the two of them, there's more blending knowledge that they've forgotten than I'll ever probably learn about, what most of us ever will. So it's kind of cool to attend those seminars. Just haven't had a chance. And then Saturday, Sunday are really the big prime days. And then Monday, Tuesday is typically, you get a lot more FaceTime.
Deals.
A lot of people leave. Yeah, and like you can talk to people a little bit. But yeah, I as far as they're like, what did you try at the show? Like, what did you see? I'm like, nothing. I haven't left my booth in 4 days. I just rolled around a little bit on the floor. Yeah, I mean, I walked a little bit just to see friends, really, really good friends. I love Jeremy from Caldwell's booth, or Jeremy McDonald, rather, Wildfires, sorry. I still have him on my phone as Jeremy Caldwell Sales, from 5 years ago. But
with the chicken and the cheesy poofs?
No, it was awesome.
Yeah.
At the booth?
He has a camper. It was really, really good. Thayer was inside. I mean, he did an amazing job.
He definitely had the best booth.
100%. I agree with this.
But in DJ, in your video, in your interview, you didn't show it. You didn't show any of it.
No, it's because when I was shot with him, he was just randomly like, I want to make the most awkward interview ever. And he didn't tell me that until after we shot it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to go shoot B-roll. But then when I was editing, I was like, oh, I want to make this be like a horror film. And then, I could have shot more of the booth, but I just forgot, man.
The purpose of having Jeremy in the video, for the purpose you wanted to use him for, you did exactly that. And the fact there's no like, intro. It's just like cut to like, the channel 3, then just Jeremy's face. Those and the music, that like everything was perfect, dude. Yeah. Do you have any knowledge if he's seen your stuff yet?
I don't know. I sent it to him. I think directly to everyone after the fact. So I was like, oh, I tagged him on Instagram, but I'll send it. The only one that responded back so far was Definition. So I don't know if anyone else has seen it yet. But I've been at an arcade and then just doing a bunch of shit all day. So I didn't even push it that hard.
Yeah. Dude, it's hilarious. Fucking hilarious,
it'd be fun to see his reaction, just because. I mean, when he showed the boxes for half a second, the second time, I was like, dude, he's doing all 3 again. And I just like, is
he
funny
had this
dude,
really
man.
awkward interview. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
He was committed to it and he got it done, right?
Yep. 100%.
Yep.
Man of his word.
He's a funny guy. And to be fair, he said, what do you need from me? I said, just be yourself on camera. I didn't know he was going to lean into that direction, but I'm down with it. I was 100% good, man.
He's a character. That man is a character.
Really good guy.
So
I spent enough time with him. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, dude, very, very down to earth. Very, there's no, there's no buffer with him. It's just all just visceral Jeremy all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So, like,
there is no filter. You're right. There is no filter. It's just
No.
or the filter is very, very big in terms of lets a lot of particles through.
yes, perfect analogy. Well, there's a lot. I mean, you can have a good cigar. You can have it all depends on what, do you want a cheap new cigar or an expensive cigar? Obviously, if you're a new smoker, you shouldn't spend too much on a cigar, in my opinion, until you develop a palate. But yeah, I always say, when I hear that question, I always say Romeo y Julieta Reserve Real. Super mild. There's some flavor in there, creamy, nice smoke texture, but very mild.
Now you can get the Toro if you want something a little more. The Twisted Toro.
Oh yeah. That's not a bad cigar either. That's good.
No, and it's still super mild. I mean,
I want to hear all four of you guys, and then I'm going to chime in
Okay.
because I'm really interested. Like, and this isn't going to be like, oh, I'm like pushing a product or whatever. Like, really,
Right.
I'm speaking as a consumer now. Is like someone asks me, what do they want to do? But I want to hear what I agree with the Roman Juliet Reserve Real. I really agree with that one.
What about you, Peter?
When I was first getting back in, I went to my local shop and I picked up a 20-acre farm for Drew Estate. And to me, it was like a really nice and easy Connecticut. I didn't get sick off of it, like I said, because I just started getting back in. And it had good flavors throughout. It was nothing crazy, not a ton of transitions or anything, but just a nice, steady, easy cigar that you can get through and kind of get your feet underneath you.
And it has that FSG tobacco in there, so it's a little bit more unique than most other Connecticut's. You know, it gives you another different dimension. But it's a solid cigar, very good cigar.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Michael?
Well, I mean, we started with things like the short story by Fuente, and I still thoroughly feel as though that if it's somebody's like new smoker, first cigars, the short story is very easily palatable. You get Cameroon, you get a little bit of a shorter style smoke, so you don't have to devote the full time to it. And then in the Hemingway line, I mean, there's just so much versatility between the Maduro blends, between the different sizes, stuff like that. I would also say that for me, the Tatuaje brown labels, like those are fantastic entry smokes. If you want something with a little bit more nuance to it and something that's a little bit more like over the last decade, 2 decades significant as well. But that's probably where I would go first.
And not overpowering with the brown label.
Yeah.
DJ, you're up, buddy.
I'll go with the first review I did on my channel. That's Baccarat the Game, because it's a solid, pretty cheap cigar. It has a somewhat sweetened cap. So if you're, if you're coming from the flavored world, or if you just don't want to get bombarded with straight grass straight away, that's not bad. I smoked, my very first cigar was a Perdomo Habano barrel-aged cigar, which was awful. So I wouldn't recommend that as your first cigar. But my second was the Romeo y Julieta, and I really liked that. And then right after that was a pretty, not super strong, but it was a, what's that brand that they don't sell anymore?
Oh, the Cornelius and Anthony.
Yeah, Signori Sugar. So, like, I liked jumping into kind of a mild and then something with some oomph to it, and that kept me interested in cigars. So I wouldn't go just straight mild, but one that I recently picked up is the it's lame to recommend Macanudo, but that Macanudo Gold label is pretty solid for what it is.
Oh, damn, stole my thunder. I was going to go with that. All jokes aside, for someone who's having a first cigar, I think it's very important for them to have a good experience. First and foremost, which means, first and foremost, no harshness to it. Relatively smooth, very little nicotine, because you don't want to turn people off that, right? But because of the nicotine, and I agree with the short story in principle. It's a great starter cigar without a big time commitment, right? Especially if you're just starting out.
Yeah.
I kind of go the opposite way. So I go slightly larger ring gauge because it's easier to keep it lit and it's harder to heat up the cigar, right? Like it's harder to keep as you puff.
If your pacing's off or you're smoking too fast.
Off, right? And that's one of the first things that takes a little bit of time to figure out.
True.
So I agree. Roma and Julieta Reserva Real, 100%. The Macanudos, I don't know if I'm calling out the right line, but it's the Cafe Park, which is like so light. There's like no strength to it. Very little body, just relatively like easily understandable, right? It's like vanilla, a little bit of creaminess, and then like a touch of grassiness to it, and like that's it, right? Like super basic.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. It's just like it's an entry. It's supposed to be super light.
It's approachable.
And like approachable. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I mean, a buddy of mine years back asked me to kind of help him develop a palate, and literally over 6 months, we went through, like, it was a super fun experience for me. I'm a bit of a nerd, and I literally, the first cigar I gave him, I was like, hey, here's a Macanudo Cafe Park. And, like, he tried it, or it's the Hyde Park, one of those. I'm like, I don't smoke them enough.
The cafe line and the size is Hyde Park.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
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 Thank you. I don't know enough about it. But I started off with that. He's like, this is too light for me. Like, I get it, but like, I want a little bit of engagement on my palate. I prepped him for the SOM test before that. So like, he already had a developed palate and like how to taste, but he was missing this portion. I'm like, okay. So we went up to Roma and Julieta Reserva Real, and then Monte Cristo White, which I actually think is a great starter for cigar as well. Monte Cristo White.
Monte Cristo White's a good call.
Yeah.
Right. Like
it's a good cigar.
And then from there, he kind of like meandered and stayed in like the medium bodied and like medium strength. And I do want to like separate the two because they're, a lot of people tend to use those interchangeably. When we say strength, we refer to the actual nicotine hit, right? And body is like the actual impact on your palate, right? The weight of the smoke and smoke.
Can you say that? Say that again for the people who are fucking wrong.
Strength refers to the actual nicotine impact, right? Like, dump a bunch of Ligero into a blend, and like you're gonna end up with a strong cigar. But then again, you cannot use Ligero and still end up with a strong cigar. But strength is the actual perception of nicotine, the nicotine impact on your body. That being said, as you enjoy more and more cigars, you develop a nicotine tolerance, right? Someone smoking LFD double Ligeros, for example, right? Like if you smoke that for breakfast and I give you a medium-bodied cigar that's going to taste like, strength-wise, that's going to be like that Macanudo Hyde Park, right? Like super light just because you built up tolerance and it doesn't move your needle at all. And then obviously with the way things work, I've always go back to what I initially had, which would be my first cigar was a Cuban Punch. Now in retrospect, right, like a really, really good cigar. Medium bodied, medium strength, medium finish. Like basically, it was the benchmark at the time for the midpoint in everything the Cuban portfolio makes. So anything lighter than that, lighter. Anything fuller was fuller. That being said, if you compare it to something, let's use LFD double Ligero, for example. On a scale of 1 to 5, if you do a direct comparison, that's probably a 1.5 if double Ligero is a 5. So really, really different in terms of strength. Body, however, refers to the actual impact of the palate, right? Like the way you perceive the weightiness of the smoke. And then flavor, I classify those two different things, and I think that is the correct definition, in my opinion. One is how clean and apparent the flavors are, right? Like, do you easily pick up what it is? That being said, if you end up with a super complex cigar, it's going to be like a little roller coaster ride, right? Like it's going to have these waves, this perfectly aged cigar. If you really nail it, you'll know because it tastes like a perfect sphere. And I know this sounds very, very weird.
Hey, John.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, John. That kind of comes from the wine world, right? Like when you nail this wine, it's perfect point for consumption. You can't really break out the flavors. It comes in waves. There's nothing sticking out.
There's
Everything is
layers
just
to it.
perfect.
Yeah.
And
Glad
then
it's also a Somm, by the
and
way,
then-
for those out there.
And then cigars, much like wine, develop flavors, right? Your primary flavors, which typically will come from, the seeds and the blending. Your secondary flavors, which comes from aging, typically and how they intermarry, and then tertiary flavors, which come from age, right? The patina, the tastes of time. What was the comment? Go down there. I saw something about there was a question, something about the
Let's see.
vintage cigar. I think all the way down. I think I saw.
Oh, he's
from
just
vintage
confirming what we say, that it's
Yeah,
three things.
absolutely.
Oh, body
Yeah,
is not
smoking.
flavor. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
We can call it that. The impact on your palate, right? Like that's the perception of body, right? Okay, I've noticed. Do you mind if I jump into this?
No,
I've noticed
go for it.
smaller
Go
cigars
for
are
it.
really delivering on the flavor front for me. Full flavored, enjoyable, smaller cigar that could really hit the spot when I'm short on time. On the flavor front. Okay, so you're looking for a flavorful cigar, right? Like one that
But a
has
but a shorter shorter time frame.
I mean, I actually think your call for the Arturo Fuente short story is a great
Short
one,
story.
right?
Yeah.
It delivers a lot of flavor. Like I would easily put that as medium full in terms of flavor, if not medium full. I think is correct.
I think that's probably what they have as their photo too.
Yeah, you actually have it as
Looks like a Hemingway or one of the Grand Reservists.
Or old Don Carlos.
Old Don Carlos.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite Fuente cigars.
Oh, yeah.
Guiñac was like really, really good.
John, how you holding up in the backyard, brother?
So yeah, I agree. Right?
I'm good, man.
The body is the actual impact and perception of the tobacco, right? And if you want to make it super simple, 1 through 5, right? From light, where you're kind of struggling to pick up the flavors, all the way to full, where it's like really clean. It almost coats the palate. And then I break them down, and again, this is like the nerdy portion of it. I break them front, mid palate, finish, right? So front is the initial perception. Mid palate is in the middle, basically on your tongue and sides, right? And then the finish is this plus retrohale, which now I open another can of worms. Like, what is retrohale? A very fancy way of saying like you push cigars through the back of your nose. Your sensory bulb is located here, right between your eyebrows. So if you're free to color, like it looks pretty good, but it's right here. So the issue with the tasting issue under quotes, the challenge with tasting food and wine is that you need to carry those flavor molecules or aroma molecules from your mouth through your retronasal passage, right, the back of your throat, basically through here, and then through your nose. With cigars, it's a lot easier because it's in gas form, right? However, cigars offer another challenge, which is heat. Tobacco smoke is hot and it's aggressive, especially if you smoke at a fast pace. You're going to overheat. You're going to heat the tobacco, ultimately leading to basically being overheated. And if you push it through your nose and it actually burns, that's a very good telltale sign that you're smoking too fast, and you should probably rest it up. Then again, and it takes a little bit of time until you figure out the difference between spice, right, which you pick up here at the bottom of your nostrils, versus like actually being
Wrenching the hell out of your nose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like to make this comparison to people. A lot of people that smoke hookah here, so I like to make the comparison. You know how when you smoke hookah or brisk, you put smoking cold smoke because it goes through water, right, to cool, and it makes it very enjoyable, very easy to kind of retrohale. One of my old teachers said this in a very, very nice and almost flowery way. When I asked him about like what's the pace, and he's like, you should be smoking at a pace that you're dancing on the edge of it going out. Super flowery, right? But like he nailed what it is. Like almost it's going out, but again, you have to make sure that it's burning both the wrapper and the filler, so not just wrapper and the binder. Sorry, not just the filler. Otherwise, it's going to tunnel. And you can make cigars tunnel. So if you ever compete in that cigar smoking championship, that's a really good skill to have, especially if you got to burn it underneath the band. It's really impressive. I mean, people do a Corona for like 4 hours.
That's insane.
Jeez.
John, you smoking the RS-88?
Yeah, smoking it. in the Toro because I just reviewed the Lancero, but you guys kept talking up the Toro, so I got to try the Toro. Sounds
Okay.
super good. Yeah.
Nice.
Hell,
This is
dude,
another
I
thing.
wish I had.
Nobody's. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I wish I had more of those of the Connecticut, the RS88s,
too.
the Toros. Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed the Lancero a lot, and you guys kept saying you like the Toro better, so I'm looking forward to this thing.
Yeah. We look
So
forward
my cigar
to
went out
hopefully.
as I was talking, right? So
That's a good thing.
exactly. So a gentleman at one of the lounges in custody, he truly is a gentleman, old school guy. Had the shop for 25 years at this point, 27 actually. And I go onto him, my apologies, like my cigar went out, and he's always dressed impeccably. And he goes, "My friend, that means you were enjoying the conversation."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you're not over smoking.
Yeah.
Best
The
food
best-
you guys had while you were out here?
I didn't really like. I mean, I didn't spend that much time in Vegas for one.
Yeah.
Um,
DJ, I know that I saw you check in at Ja Burrito again.
I did.
And I ran across you at Black Tap one night.
That's really all we ate at. It was like those two things because they were convenient.
Accessible.
Yeah. I was like, and that Mexican burger at Black Tap was very good, but like $20 for a burger and fries.
Yeah.
No
you know,
thanks.
it's probably for me. For me,
Yeah,
it's probably
yeah,
the
in
pizza.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's probably the Grimaldi's pizza for me, which is,
Yeah.
stone fire, brick oven style. Is, nothing spectacular, but that was probably out of what I had. That was probably the best.
It was better than the deep fried frozen shitty falafel I had at Caesar's. That was also $20. So yeah,
That's because you went to Caesar's for a falafel.
that was
That's like,
well. We
you gotta find a
were
nice Middle Eastern man who calls you boss before you order that. Okay.
for sure. We were walking around and we were like, oh, it's like the time of day we have to eat, and we happen to be by the Caesar's food court. So I'm like, all right, let's go get reamed, and then we did.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
That's what it was.
My recommendation.
Hold on, your microphone just walked away.
Your microphone just walked away.
I'll say this real quick while he's gone, dude. Already, man, I'm liking this better than the Lancero. And I like
It's so much better.
dude.
Like, not that the Lancero is bad.
like
That's
it.
just
Sorry,
great.
you're back.
Yeah,
You're back on.
I like the Lancero a lot, but this
Yeah.
thing, man, dude, this Toro is impressing the
It's
hell out of
so
me.
good.
Sanj actually
it's-
just what's up, Sanj? I was
Hey.
just
Oh,
talking-
he's
It's
down
like-
there?
That cigar, it's like smoking a Turkish delight. Like you get like vanilla, like almond, you
Rose
get
or
honey.
pistachio?
dude,
Or walnut?
I'm getting the butter too, like butter. It's super.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
bomb.
So RS88 Toro. I'll grab it.
In Connecticut, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Cool.
There you
I'm
go.
My word.
You grabbed it.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome, buddy.
Yeah. So what I always recommend to people, breakfast or lunch, Bagel Mania.
Yeah, that's the
It's
spot.
phenomenal. Aiden, who's the GM, is a friend. He's a cigar smoker, so the
Shout
food
out
is
to
just
Aiden.
Really, really good. I personally love that spot for Sanj is there. Hey, Sanj.
Yep.
Really, really good stuff. I think for breakfast or lunch. If you like Thai food, Lotus of Siam is really one of my favorite spots in Vegas. I cook a lot, but I've never really done Thai dishes. And after tasting stuff there, it's one of those things I'm not even gonna try it. They do a koi soy, which is basically beef tartare. But from what I could tell, they do. I think they grind the actual lime, so they make a lime powder, and it just throw it over. It's incredible. The duck is obviously the must-have. Anyway, I'm salivating right now.
I had
highly
Thai food
recommend
yesterday.
Lotus of Siam Thai food. I mean, that's really good.
Good to know.
Yardbird's actually cool between Venetian and Palazzo, right in their like restaurant.
Next to the
Yeah.
convention.
Yeah.
Sugar cane's right there, too. Sugar cane's not bad.
Yeah, I've only got The only thing that I really got shocked by was the price for their dinner.
Yeah.
It literally went up ×2.
Yeah.
And compared to, I want to say, like last year.
Shit.
Agreed.
I mean,
Damn.
I don't think there was anything under $60 for the entrees. Like the
Shit.
burger was like $46 or something, and for dinner. I don't know if the lunch menu is still the same, but I was like, whoa, this is like
Yeah.
a little rough. Oh, 1502 Anniversario.
Yeah. I see that in the
That's a
comments,
bomb
too.
cigar.
Dalton
Cigar,
just posted
I think
about
they sold
it.
out because they were only released, what was it, last year? Or the year before?
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of boxes made. And Fuego is one of the, like,
Yeah.
fortresses, like, national.
Well, they were the ones that kind of brought it to Vegas, so we're pretty fortunate to be flush with a decent amount of stuff. But I mean, I hung out with Enrique at the show, and I think that there's some more on the way. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm glad that you like it, Dalton.
Yeah, because I didn't know that cigar was going to be a continual release. I thought it was just a one and done, but I guess it's going to be.
Done. I had no idea. Awesome.
Didn't he say something like they had more on the way? Wasn't that something?
Yeah. No, it's my understanding. My understanding is it will be a continual release.
Okay.
Probably like a certain amount each year. I'm guessing.
Maybe the XO is the one that is only going to be a one-off.
Yeah, the XOs are gone.
The XOs are done. Yeah.
I mean, that's
Okay.
I would put that in the pantheon of, $30+ cigars that are actually worth the price, in my opinion.
Like the Psalm.
That's my personal opinion, yeah, but that's that's for you guys to say, hey, is this like worth it or not? I would spend the money on it as a consumer, and in fact, I actually bought someone that cigar because they were like that much in love, and it was the last one, and I'm like, here you go,
Nice,
8 full pop. So I stand behind it, like I did pay for it, and I bought it.
QB, a couple more, yeah, Pastelitos, man.
Oh, okay.
That was actually, Q-Tip, that was one of my favorite booths that I went across. They were super duper. Hey, there you go, right there.
There you go.
Right there. Right
It was
there.
one of my favorite booths that I went across during PCA. They were super nice, and yeah, we got some new stuff to review.
Who was that?
Super
That's
excited.
cool, man.
Crowned
And
Heads.
also-
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also we met Q-Tip at the show. We met Tommy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, Tommy was there.
Dude, I was
That was
so
dope,
jealous,
man.
I was so jealous of you guys being there, man. I was like, I gotta make it next time.
Yeah, dude.
You got till March.
Yeah,
Is that a
I forgot
fake
it's
cactus
coming
or
up
is it a
soon.
real cactus in the back?
Oh, that's actually, so that is John's cucumber / cactus.
Hey, that's some.
This thing has just become. I don't even know what to call it. It's
It's
so
been a
ridiculous.
point of emphasis for all the lives.
Yeah,
I
it's
got a flamingo. People are like, where's the
Yeah.
flamingo? It's still there, and I'm like,
Well, okay, so the first live I was on, it was in the background, like back there, I think, and someone was like, "What's up with the oddly shaped cucumber?"
Yeah, we talking about the pickle again?
The pickle.
Yes, damn it.
Damn it.
But now it's like I gotta have it on every time because it's now legendary status of the lives, So
does it have like an actual name, or is it just cucumber in the back?
I like the pickle.
we can call it the pickle. Or
It's definitely a pickle.
it's either pickle or oddly shaped.
That's
I like
awesome.
oddly shaped cucumber. That was my favorite. That was pretty good. I can call it the pickle. That's fine. I thought about changing my name to Cigar Pickle. So.
Cigar cucumber.
Cigar Cucumber. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's awful.
I see Justin Huddleston's comment. Did anyone score some Warp Black Honey? We scored some from 2000. Was it 2014? Those were from or something?
17,
okay.
my friend.
Okay.
The last
Yeah.
release. Yes, it was not handed to us by KG himself because he was unavailable. But at one of the local lounges that we went to, night one of us all getting together, we scored some really nice at the Sahara location for these guys. Oh yeah, they had 2017 Black Honeys just sitting there. Like, hey, we found these. Don't know if anybody's gonna want them, but
and not an insane price either. Very very affordable. Very not gouging. Just
you can leave
here
and
they
come
are.
back if you need to. I don't know.
I would have bought it myself.
Yeah, no, we were just like, okay, how many do we buy? Do we take them all? Like, I almost brought one tonight.
If I bought all of them, like whenever I find rare stuff, I'm never like, oh, I'm gonna hoard these and like smoke them. You know,
No, just smoke them, man.
Give it out
Pan,
to people,
what's
like,
up, dude?
Share the, you know.
That's our boy from Greece.
Oh, awesome. Hell yeah.
From Cyprus.
From Serbia.
Pan the man.
Oh yeah, Cyprus. I always do that. Ooh, different. Cyprus, different. Pan doesn't ever hold it against me, though. I appreciate that about him.
He's the nicest man on the planet. He wouldn't. There's just no way he would.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, he's the nicest guy on the planet that I muted by accident on my channel.
You're too nice.
Yeah.
You're gone.
Yeah. I'm still sorry, Pan. I'm still sorry, man. 3 weeks later, I'm still sorry. It's a mistake.
Love that guy.
This is not what we strive for. This is unacceptable.
I felt so bad. Oh man.
So tell me
Well,
about
it started.
I know nothing about it.
Oh,
It's a $7 Dominican Puro.
You wanna?
I think the one that you have, anyways. Did you give him the Habano?
Connecticut.
The Connecticut.
The Connecticut. Okay, that
Yeah.
one has
I
a Nicaraguan wrapper.
Yep.
Yeah, I put this one in a cello because I was taking some video of it and I didn't want it to get jacked up with all the cigars that I was moving around. So that's the only reason why there's a cello.
Connecticut?
That one is Nika, Connecticut. Yeah.
Yeah, $7. Nika, Connecticut, and then Dominican.
I gotta be careful smoking this, and it's just Nicaraguan Connecticut tends to be a little bit on the more fragile side, and it doesn't help that we have 4% humidity over here.
Right.
So stuff cracks.
Yeah.
Peter, you said we were going to smoke the bowl, and I remember someone handing it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, cool."
I didn't know if I had Nicaraguan Connecticut before this. Maybe I just might have missed it.
So, Indiana, whose family owns Agrotabacos and who makes 3 of our lines for Langford, they used to do Psycho 7 with Nicaraguan Connecticut.
Okay.
And I actually smoked
Aventura.
until they stopped. Was it Aventura? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's Aventura.
Yeah.
It stopped.
No, not Ventura, not Aventura.
Ventura.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Matt is our cigar encyclopedia. You didn't know.
Just tonight. Just tonight.
And what would happen, and this has nothing to do with the construction or anything with the cigar, right? This isn't a technical issue. This is just the fact that, the dryness of the actual, surroundings.
Yeah.
That just makes it crack. And the funny part is, even with that bowl, someone handed it to me on the show floor, and I've smoked them before, right? Like, great cigar. I literally walked out. I walked outside the convention center, and the moment I stepped through the door, right, you will go from AC to 112 that it was outside, and 4% humidity, and all you could hear is like crack, crack, crack. And the testament why it wasn't a construction issue, right? Like, this is just the fragility of the wrapper. It burned straight through. Yeah, it cracked a little, right? It like bumped, but it just burned straight through, no issues. Didn't look great. It was still a great cigar. I smoked it in my car, so it was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is exciting. I'm going to smoke tomorrow.
You got a question there, Vlad?
Putting you on the spot, Vlad.
Best cigar from the Lampert portfolio. Okay, I can tell you what my personal favorite is. Okay, fair enough, Peter. My personal favorite, I have a very soft spot for the Azul Robusto for one simple reason.
That's what you were smoking when we came on tonight.
There is nothing like it. And it's not one of those like, oh my God, right? Like we invented the wheel. No. To my knowledge, nobody has used that particular combination of tobacco before, which is always interesting, right? If you do San Andreas Nicaraguan binder filler, yes, you can make an infinite amount of combinations. Not infinite, but a pretty big amount of combinations, which is, if you look at what's on the market, like there's probably 800 blends that use that particular combination, obviously with different styles of tobacco, different regions, different primings, all of these other things, different agings. But this uses 5-year-old Peruvian Palo de Oro in the filler, and I smoked it when Indiana sent me samples, put me in touch with Stefan, and people ask me about, hey, do you want to pick another brand? Do you want to do this? And I'm like, sure, send me samples and I'll go for it. I smoked it, and I literally went like, this is the most interesting thing I've smoked in the last, at that time it was 2020 or 2021. No, 2021. I was like, this is the most interesting thing I've smoked in quite a while. And then I took like a small amount. I took like 10,000 cigars from 3 different sizes. I'm like, cool. We got TP, we got PCA afterwards. Like, I'll have a restock. And I already told him, like, send me another 6,000. This is the breakdown between the 3 sizes. We'll go from there. PCA or TP opened at 12. At 1:30, I was completely sold out.
Jeez.
I was like,
Jeez Louise.
I literally looked at it and I'm like, you know, people are like, yes, this works. This is incredible. And then to kind of validate how I feel about it, it picked up a 93 from Cigar Journal. That year, to my knowledge, the only thing that really got a higher rating was the Padron PCA exclusive, which I wholeheartedly agree is like an incredible cigar from 2021, which we got 95. And I truly believe that's an incredible cigar. So that got 93 points, and then Stogie Press gave it 94, and then Blind Man's Pup gave it 94. And if I remember talking to the guys, it was like the only cigar out of like 7 or 8 that they've rated 94 or above in how long they've been doing, like not 10 years maybe at this point. Like
Yeah, it's got to be close to a decade.
So, you know, I'm like, yeah, like reviewer, validation as well. I have a super soft spot. That being said, the Dom Patron is kind of off topic here, but like I've been working on a book with Paul Davidoff guy on Instagram, and we've been working on a book for a while now.
Paul Patel.
Yeah, he is an incredible human being. If we could just clone him like 5 times, I think the world would just be a much nicer place.
And clone his collection too.
Yeah, if we clone the collection, I mean, I think it's going to impact the cigar market seriously. Like, seriously. I have a super soft spot for Dom Patron, and both of those cigars just fly off the shelves, continuous. It also helps it's a 10-count box that doesn't really break the bank. So those 2 would be my real favorites. I love the Family Reserve from Kellner just because I've worked with that particular factory and that blending style for so long. To give you an idea, 500 boxes, which is a limited run, they sold out within 16 hours last year. Wow. And the question was like, oh yeah, you must like smoke a ton of these, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I can't. They're like super expensive. Like I don't have them. To a point that me as a distributor is like, I'm not smoking this because it's expensive for me to smoke.
Right.
And they're like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah, I have like 2 boxes set aside, and someone came into the lounge here, and he's like, dude, I've been trying to source these. I'm a huge friend of mine. And I'm like, yeah, man, here, take whatever's left in the box. What's in the box? Alex asked if PCA is only for industry folks. Yes, it is an industry-only trade show, right, where it's manufacturers and retailers or distributors. Sometimes importers, especially from other countries, obviously attend as well. And yeah, the consumers do end up coming to the show floor, but I've heard that they've been really media as well, right? And I think that they've been doing a good job of improving the media relation side of it, because I've seen an improvement compared to like 2017, both from a recognition of what media does and how they're treated both by manufacturers, distributors, retailers, everybody in the whole setup, which is kind of a weird thing that we were talking about. It like you guys get the word out to people who can't attend, so why wouldn't you be treated as an integral piece of this show?
That's a great
segue. You think
segue.
that, right?
That's a great segue, actually, because I remember going to the show by myself 3 years ago as a non-media member. I remember going 2 years ago by myself as a media member. And I went to the show, obviously, this year with 2 other media members with me. And I can't imagine how hostile the environment was in 2017. Hey, Sanj, have a good night, man. That must have
a good
been
night,
some
brother.
shit.
It really was. I mean, again, that was my first show. 2017 or 2018, one of those 2 years. And hostility, I think, is like the right word to use there, because a lot of people would just treat it like, you guys just want free cigars or whatever. And I'm like,
Right. Right.
You know, I was just happy for anybody to talk to us. Like, this is our first show. Like, we don't know anybody. We, you know, I started my distribution 6 months early. And I'm like, I don't know anybody. Like, I'm just happy that people are giving me their time of day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen an improvement. Whether or not it's where it needs to be, you know, that's a question for you guys. I'm outside looking in. So I know they did hire Antoine,
Right.
who came from TPE. So my hopes are that he's really, really good, and my hopes are that's going to improve because he runs the content side, and I'm assuming he's going to be the point person for media. So tell me about your guys' experience.
You guys can go ahead and start, being that it was your first show.
You go, DJ.
It was interesting because PCA is a buyer or seller relationship show. That's how it should be, right? And then media should be there to cover it. But then at the same exact time, it was built, many, especially the larger booth, as if it was a show that would be open to the public, right? Like, if it's just buyer and seller, then why is Fuente's booth so extravagant? Why was JC Newman's booth so extravagant? Like, why is El Rolo there? So it's interesting that it's like it's trying to be inclusive to public by also not letting the public go. Like, as media, why would we care if there was a party in Fuente's booth?
Yeah.
It was weird. I think who benefited the most from any media there is any small company. Like that, and they were the most excited and willing to be a part of it, because that was kind of the point. What I don't like is going there as media. You're kind of almost pressured to post like day of, which is basically free advertising for PCA. And if you're media who had to pay, I was lucky enough to get in underneath Michael. You're kind of like you're paying to go there to help promote PCA's show, which I didn't love.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't have like a negative interaction with anyone specifically. I just thought it was a bit of a weird experience because there was a lot of people, like someone even walked up, and I mentioned this in a video that's going to be coming out soon. And she met Matt Booth, and she was like, yeah, my husband said the one thing he wanted me to do when I was here was get a picture with you, which is cool. But if it's buyers and sellers, that's just it's an interesting interaction for something that's not supposed to be fan-based.
Right.
True. And that's where I felt like a fish out of water, because of course I had to go as media. That's the only way I could get in. But I went in as an enthusiast. I went in with, like, I had no goals of doing any content, of doing anything like that. That's on me. Like, that's just my intention, was to just nerd out on the people I wanted to nerd out on and meet people who I wanted to meet. The main reason going there for me was to meet Michael and DJ. That's it. Like, that was the main reason, just to meet those guys, and you know, to meet some manufacturers who I really like, you know, Principal, freaking Lampert, you know, like Patoro, obviously, like meet the guys like that. You know, like as media, like I said, it was more of a me thing, because I didn't go, in my mind, I wasn't going as media. I was going as a fucking nerd. So it was kind of a, you know, a bizarre, a little bit of a bizarre thing for me, because I kind of I infiltrated my own way into the show the way I wanted to do it, even though really I shouldn't be able to, but I can, because I got the channel to that point to where I could do it. Yeah. So.
I mean, and you were media in the sense that, I mean, you were media for Cigar Public.
Yeah, hey man, that's I freaking love Joe. Meeting him was a big perk of the show too. So I mean, doing the interview for Cigar Public, that was tight. And obviously their production, not like DJ said, they're a great production company. Like, everything they do as far as media goes is slick as hell.
It was three beautiful, very simple booths, and they did it well. But if we're going with this is like industry only, I mean, you're very quickly approaching a total of 1 million views on your channel. So you're definitely media. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just in my hard-headed dumbass brain, I don't want to view it that way, even though that's the point, even though that's the case, you know.
Yeah.
But you're getting more views consistently than a lot of the companies there that went there as 3-man production teams. If you would have posted views, you like video interviews, you would have crushed everybody. Just simply for what your platform is, you would have beat them all, like without even.
And that's the thing too. A big part of the reason why I don't do that is in my opinion, from my experience, from what I've seen, that type of trade show content gets dick for views. It gets dick for like engagement. Compared to the other. Maybe I won't know. We won't know because I didn't do it. But like I'll always see like, you know, like a bigger channel, they'll post like a regular review or like a regular type of content that they do for that channel, and then they do some sort of like trade show interview with the manufacturer, and it gets shit. So that's why, like,
unless your Cigars Daily doing a TikTok, then you can get some views.
That one actually even didn't get that many. So there's that. No, his TikTok doesn't do phenomenally well.
Plus, not talking shit on that company, whatever it was.
I think it was part of. Wasn't that all Oliva?
I don't know, but who the fuck, like, what guy? Because I know Tim. He was saying like, how can you live without this in your man cave, like this painting that opens up to become a humidor. I mean, that's cool, but I don't give a shit. Like, I would never be on the market for that.
And then he stopped recording, and his soul left his body, and you were just like, I hate myself. And he went on with his day.
So a little bit of backstory on that from what I was told, right? Because one of my buddies who was there at the show a couple of days later, he did end up inquiring to purchase one of them because he's like that. But and by like that, I mean he has the discretionary income to do it. But you can apparently get any particular photo, painting, art that you want done up in that and make that like your office humidor, which is what he's going to do, right? Which is kind of a cool concept in and of itself. Because I was like, do I need to get like one of these like paintings of the? No, you can do anything with the humidor.
Van Gogh's skeleton smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I like that's kind of cool, you know. Like DJ can put a new wave humidor, you know, in the back of the garage. Yeah, that's not it. That's kind of.
You can get the pickle.
You can get the pickle.
You can get the pickle.
You can get the pickle, and then you don't have to actually have the pickle up anymore. You just have the humidor in the back and just grab it out. Maybe not in this weather, but you know, like so. Yeah. Anyway, that was not owned by Oliva. It just so happened to be next to Oliva. Sacrificio is part of Oliva. But
that's what I'm saying. Like there was the Oliva like hats, that thing, and then Sacrificio. So it was like right in between. So I just assumed it was one runway of Oliva.
Which Sacrificio did you light up now?
The 660. The lovely stopped being lovely about halfway through.
Yeah.
Hey, did it get a little bit of ammonia on it?
Yeah, it went from really nice, like kind of sweet, bready notes and just a chill cigar to it just dropped off a cliff.
So you won't be going back with your fancy lighter and buying 20 boxes, huh?
I will. I will probably smoke the other one once it's recovered from Vegas, but it was just you know,
dude, that Double Toro or Gordo Sacrificio, I think that might be my favorite one so far. I'm gonna wait until really the cigars cool off and die down from the show and everything and the travel, but that one was my favorite. I smoked with Julio at 8 Lounge the day after you left, DJ, and it was fantastic in that size.
Yeah, I wish I had grabbed 2 of these instead of the Lancero because this is really good.
Did all of you guys get those DuPonts?
I got one for DJ and for Hound Dog for coming down to visit for PCA.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, Matt. The day Matt was on the trade show floor, you just kept hearing ding as we were walking.
It's a nice sound, man.
It is.
It's a nice, authentic sound. The sound is very authentic.
Very authentic.
I gotta go grab my light because it's starting to get dark and I forgot to grab my light, so I'm gonna do that real quick.
Do your thing. I guess I'll chime in now with my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So
Really cool.
I do think that there should be, just like they have an hour before, they should maybe move it to after the show floor ends for the day or something like that. Give us that hour, to shoot content.
From
Yeah.
our side,
Yeah.
it's a little bit rough because a lot of the
Because they're
people
tired.
have dinners set up. No, not even that.
That no,
But,
yeah, that makes sense.
Dinners and like right, a
Commitments,
lot
yeah.
of people are staying in Palazzo. I'm an outlier because I live in Vegas.
Right.
So for the people staying in Palazzo, you want to go to your room, probably change, right? Like wash the trade show floor off you, and then like do your thing. Plus, like you do have to break down the booth, right? Like you got to either lock
Put away
stuff
your
or
cigars,
put away
yeah.
your cigars or things like that, right? That'll take 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour maybe, depending on how big the booth is.
Yeah.
And then you got to run. TP did it. I think TP does that hour early. I haven't seen a lot of media on the first day anyway. I'm assuming everybody kind of covered the big booths because that's before, right, the rush happens there.
Right.
But TP does that, and I think very successfully, because we managed to get last TP. I think I managed to get all the media coverage in like the first hour, not all of it, but like a good chunk. So I think that's a good idea.
But it's just it's kind of weird, like day one, because you're like, hey, so we're at PCA. How's the show going for you? And it's like, well, it's going to start in another hour.
Yeah,
so like,
I mean, it might even be good to do it that Friday. So not how the show is going for you, but what do you have in the booth? And then there's not pressure to be like, all right, I got to get ready to do sales. Please go the fuck away. Because,
right.
I mean, I'm assuming that's in the back of most of people's heads. I got to talk to this media guy real quick, and then I'm going to make my money. Because that's what you're there for. You're there to make money. I mean, that's what we go to, like, I don't know, 50 to 60 trade shows a year in my industry. And it used to be big, extravagant booths. And then it went streamline to just how fast can we make these sales on the show floor? And that's what works because you're there. You spent thousands of dollars to have this booth from everywhere from like spaces to carpet to everything.
Pens.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, there's one where I think our largest trade show to have a decent sized booth, it's like starts at $75K. Like that's to walk on the fucking floor. Like, so there's a huge investment. And part of it is like, do I really talk to this guy who has a YouTube channel or a blog or an Instagram page that has no viewers, but he's going to have me on a live for like 45 minutes, which was happened to me right before Casa 1910. Like they're taking up a lot of these people's time when they're there to make money. So if they did it that Friday and had like a part of that preview day being talk to some of the guys, I think that'd be nice if we had access to the floor there just for media.
The issue is Friday is still set up day.
Right.
That's right.
How many days do you guys have to set up?
So this was weird because it fell right after 4th of July, right? So you had Wednesday by invite only, which means big booths, right? The big companies that really do need that extra day of actually setting up.
Sure.
So we could get on the floor Thursday. So Thursday or Friday. For our booths, it was relatively simple, but still, right? For a big booth, you might actually need 2 full days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. We typically have 3 days, and I don't think it's like restricted to how much money you bring in. Like, because if you paid for the booth, you paid for the fucking booth. That's your rectangle. Like,
I mean, we'll see. Next year, it's at the convention center, which probably has different rules.
You're talking about for both PCA and TP?
Yeah, they're both at the convention center.
Oh, wow.
So convention center.
So no more Venetian.
So PCA, I actually love the Venetian because of the parking.
Yeah.
Like roll into Palazzo, that's the sneaky way, and just you're there in like 5 minutes. But for TP, I just do the joint booth because I live in town and it's not a big commitment money wise, and the booth comes pre-made, right? Like you get a little shelf and you get one table with I don't know like 2 or 4 chairs, I forget. So really the only thing I need to bring is cigars. So for me the setup is
minimal.
15 minutes if I'm being like super generous on it.
Couple of pull-up banners and you're done.
So now you can't do the banners. They actually asked that because it needs to be uniform for the pavilions.
Yeah, so like everybody who's grouped together in that one station, they all have to have the same amount of advertising.
So you guys saw the
interview
association.
Oh, I was going to say the interview that we did for TPE. You can kind of see it because I have like Boofy's and everybody else is behind you and all that other stuff they had going on.
Yeah, that was super funny. I had Boof behind me. Like good friends were there, like Ian from Dapper, Terrence was there from Aganorsa, Jake Wyatt guys were right next to us. The guys from Founders, Angel and Josh.
It's kind of funny when you think that Aganorsa had the same pavilion booth that you did for TPE, and then like they had a pretty big booth in the corner of PCA.
I think it's a lot of it comes down to and now we're getting into politics and the foots a little bit, right? I think PCA moving it to March is a big shot across the bow for TPE because initially you had TB and then 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Actually, I really loved when it was end of January. The reason for that, I think, is twofold. There really isn't anything going on in January. It's typically a relatively slow month, both everywhere, right? Everybody blew their money on holidays. But the retailers do actually have a sizable chunk from those holiday sales, right?
Yeah.
And it's January, so you're not really thinking about the taxes yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they did it end of March, and the attendance was end of February actually this year. So the flex that ping. This year was a little bit different. Also, the people that tend to visit TP. It's not just cigar specific, right? You have CBD, you have convenience stores, you have distributors, you have a whole different segment that a lot of the smaller booths typically don't, or smaller brands, should I say, like, don't really deal with, right? Like, I don't think you'll find a lamper in a convenience store.
Right.
Like, but again, it might be interesting. I talked to the guy. He's like, "Yeah, I got 80 convenience stores," and I'm like, "Hey, we'd love to do business with you. I don't think I'm the right fit."
Sure.
That's just not what we do. Not because like I don't want the business. It's just, hey, man, like, but if I take you over to this booth, they actually have something that's like specifically for C-store. Like, I think this would work great. The other thing that really works well with pavilions, I haven't had a chance to actually step off the show floor and see the boutique pavilion that they did at PCA. So if you guys had a chance to see it, I would love to hear your opinion on that. Because from my understanding, it was basically a copy of what TPE does, right?
100% it was.
The same booth.
Yeah. That was where all those small stands were all grouped together in the corner. We were like, what are these? Which companies are these?
The BPA or whatever?
Yeah, boutique.
Yep.
Association,
the baby. The Baby Cigar Association.
Oh, was it boutique? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They should have had that written somewhere because they're just like, what are all these tiny people?
People asked us, they're like, why aren't you guys exhibiting there? And I'm like, I booked my booth last year. Like, I didn't know this was a thing. And apparently this came pretty late in the game, either like April or May, from my understanding. So this was like an add-on. Sure. But again, I think it's an interesting concept. I think it gives small brands like a good chance to kind of play that, investment versus actual like profit.
Yeah.
Return.
On it, return the ROI. Right? Like, because I know the first show we did, we were like, okay, cool. Like, we need a big booth we need to represent. And, it was like $25,000 like base before we even like put anything else. And I was like, this is, I think we ended up like revenue wise and like everything, once you count all the expenditures and everything, I think we like broke even, which I was super happy about because we got a bunch of new accounts and it worked.
Yeah.
And then every year I kept like making it smaller and smaller. I think 2019, someone was like, why is the booth smaller? And I literally responded, do you want better deals or do you want a larger booth? It was like, better deals.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm really happy that we think the same way. Like, the deal.
Welcome to
do
my
you want
booth.
nice cigars or do you want a party? Which one? Yeah.
We can party afterwards. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Right. It's just a small showpiece. And I'm like, 10 by 10, perfect for us. Someone made a comment, be like, hey, you guys aren't doing seating this year or the massage chair. So the last PCA, I was stealing electricity in classic Serbian fashion. I stole it from the luxury guys who are good friends, and they had it. They're like, yeah, man, there's, if you want to use our electricity, you got to let us use the massage chair. And I'm like, cool. So for people who would get our deal, they'd get to spend, I forget what it was. I like made up a whole story about it. Like, oh yeah, you get like 15 minutes or like you get half an hour, and like people would sit there, right? Because you're on your feet, and it's a legit massage chair. So we're like,
Oh
cool,
yeah.
people enjoyed it. And then this year I didn't even have seating. They're like, what happened to the seating? And it's a good friend, so I can tell him this. I gave him a hug, and I'm like, hey, I really don't want you sticking around, but if you want to swing by later for like coffee or whatever, like let me know. Like, I don't want you to sit here. They laughed it off. Obviously, I'm only half jesting because I didn't know how big those displays are going to be. Yeah, I have the measurements, but you know, freedom units versus centimeters. Like, I actually need to see it. Like, I'm a visual person. Someone's like, "Oh, how's that going to look with a wallpaper?" And I'm like, "You got to put the wallpaper first, buddy. I can't imagine it."
Yeah, yeah.
Did you just call our units of measure freedom units?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're FUs.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good one. But no, seriously, I didn't know how much space there was going to be, and then like I have no more hair left to lose after this show. So it was like one of them came broken, and then on the second day when they were cleaning first day, second day morning, I've done a bunch of events. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we got to tape down the extension cords, right? Tripping hazard. Because I'm the first person who will face plant somewhere. So I'm like, oh, okay, they were cleaning it. They ended up pulling one of the cords out, and they ended up pulling the cord strongly enough that when they took it off, that they actually had the button that like turns it off actually fell inside the socket. And I'm like, okay, there's two reasons. Either I'm going to complete the circuit and like have the one single hand hair like go up like this, or like it's just going to be turned off. So yeah, I could fix it, but the option was like I tip the whole thing and like jerry rig it, or like we're just going to leave it as is. And I think in your video, I was like, hey guys, any media came over, and I'm like, let me show you this. Like, you can take pictures and use the light, whatever, but like it's not illuminated, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So we could use 2 out of 4, which is. Stefan laughed and we're like, how much are they order? I'm like, order 4. He's like, why? We only need 2. And I'm like, yeah, but we're going to get a backup for the backup. Oh, there was a comment. There was a comment on the media. I'd like you guys to read.
Just click that right there. Alex. Yeah.
I saw someone comment on the Cavalier. Those guys are great. I love Brian Sebastian. I love their cigars. In fact, I just smoked a white this morning. That would actually be an amazing first cigar.
Yeah, the white.
That's a good call.
Cavalier White Robusto, which is a 5.5, right?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
52.
Yeah, I think it's 5. It's either a 5.52 or a 5.50. Speak to the media.
Oh, I would.
Yeah.
If any of you guys ever want to be treated like a celebrity, I hope you guys can stop by my booth and just like lead off with that. I will do my best. I will do my absolute best to do it.
I mean, again,
red carpet, please.
The guy on the other side of the screen of
Standard,
me
so.
would be the closest in our industry because he actually pulls those views. Like, numbers talk.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. I would have expected if you would have walked in there with whoop whoop blaring behind you on a boombox, I bet people would have noticed and be like, "That's fucking Cigar Hound Dog." Because if any of those little companies gave you a cigar, that's the fastest way for them to actually be seen. Like, that's just
Give me
the
a second.
truth.
I'm writing this down. Boombox for cigar.
Yeah, we need the intro playing.
That fucking I got that dog in me. That's what should have been playing as we walked through the door, which I thought would have been funny. And then I saw those two. Did you see who is the company that 505 was with? Because they actually shot like a video of them walking through looking tough, and I was like, I'm so glad I didn't try and get that shot for my video.
If you come to GP, I will make that happen, even if I have to play it on my phone.
That would be even funny. You just hold it up.
But I can do the right, like written cartons and be like, hey, I just need a little bit of time. I'm down.
Does that say anything, something like that? Yeah.
I wish that what I do wish is that maybe there was a little bit more transparency from the companies and the media relations people. So like between PCA and the media relations people for the individual companies, because we get bombarded as media members with emails from a lot of different companies as far as like, hey, if you want to get on our time slot, schedule an interview, so on and so forth. And then like the majority of them that you respond to actually don't follow through.
No, because it's just
And
an
only-
email list from like
'cause-
MailChimp.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
only like a generated email file that because your name is on the registry, you got one.
Yeah,
Not
we're a
because of the
fucking
fact that they
Excel
took the-
spreadsheet.
Yeah, not the fact that they took the time to realize that, hey, if we get an interview with Cigar Hound Dog, that's 1,000 views in 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
which is more views than our cigar is going to get on our own personal Instagram
Yup.
as a company. So within 2 days, and like if we do that with Cigar Hound Dog, DJ, Michael, John, Keelan, so on and so forth, that's 5,000 views in a week, or something like that. So it's like, that was probably one of my biggest gripes over the last couple of years, is that like some of them are good at responding, like West Tampa, for instance. Sarah was on that game, like she was immediate, like, hey, this is what Rick has available. He would love to meet with you. And then like the people will see in the interview that I had with Rick, I mean, just how genuine he was interviewing.
And how receptive he was to an audience. I mean, we mentioned 30 people on a live, and he thought that meant just 30 people, and even that was good for him. We're like, no, that's 30 people congruent. Like, it's gonna be thousands at the end. Yeah,
that's just what's watching during the throughout the duration, coming in and out of the live. I mean, I think that even tonight, where were we at, like 50?
I think we maxed it around 50. Yeah.
I typically leave Monday afternoons and Tuesdays, like basically full media.
Yeah.
Last day of TP, I clear the full schedule. That's just blocked off.
Yeah.
This year I kind of dropped the ball between like traveling and a bunch of hair loss, but like I agree that there should be a better way to do it.
Yeah, like instead of you having to just manage your own personal calendar, like give PCA 5 hours spread out through 3 days that you can block off to have them book it.
The last hair just jumped on the flip. Sorry, that's no. No, I would like to. I don't see enough people. I don't see that PCA show planner. Maybe it's different for the big brands. In the last 5 years, and I always go out and like fill out all the stuff and all the information and any deals and all of this stuff. As to like what it actually, like how many people have seen it, if I had to guess, right, from what I've actually, like someone actually referenced that, it happened once in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So my sample size is once in 4 years.
Sure.
I don't know if like someone actually reached out, and it was media, funnily enough. I responded to the guy directly through the email rather than going through the PCA because it saved me like 7 steps. I responded to him, and the man did stop by, and he's like, hey, introduced himself. They're like, great. I reached out. He's they're beta testing some type of app, and I'm like, cool, this is interesting. Like, it actually worked. But as far as like, again, maybe it's different for big booths or big brands. I don't know. But I would, and I agree with like, template generated email. I'm not a big believer in this, and Stefan and I have gone back and forth with this. I send a weekly stock list every Monday, and I write those emails out. Right? Sometimes it takes me 15 minutes. Sometimes it takes me 2 hours. And it's silly, right? Like, because sometimes I'll have 50 people respond, and somewhere I'll be just shouting into the void. And then someone actually came up to me, and they're like, I love reading your emails. Like, every Monday, it comes out, and like there's a little story, and sometimes I have time to read all of it. And if I don't need anything, like I don't reply. But if I do need anything, I appreciate the fact that you like take the time to tell us what's going on, anything new that's coming up, like any new exciting things, and like it's cool. Like it's nice. It's a nice way of keeping in touch, even if I talk to everybody like nonstop. That's basically my day. But I'm like, hey, like this is a nice little thing, and I appreciate that it's not auto-generated, right?
It's tailored marketing. Yeah, you're doing tailored marketing to these people instead of just digital junk mail, which is what everyone else
we get.
Yeah.
It was just mass digital junk mail. And even for a lot of them, we'd hit the ball back and be like, hey, I'm coming. And then it'd be silence. What would be nice is if, as Michael said, if PCA was a better bridge between like, hey, these are the people coming to the show. These are their stats. You should reach out to them. And then give that to not just the company in their mailing list, but the actual person who's under marketing. And some will be more receptive than others. And that's just the way it's always going to be, because marketing teams, speaking from one, are pretty crap a lot of the times, just depending on, it's usually like, hey, you've been at the company, you're marketing now. Like that's like how it is a lot of the times. Like, yeah, you've done this role and that role. Have you tried marketing? And that's what it was. And even the company I work with, that's what it was for the longest time until I started there. Shortly before I started, they actually hired like a person with marketing background. And before it was like, oh, you've been head of HR. Oh, you've been head of this. You're head of marketing now. And I'm sure, having spoken with several at different companies, that's what it is. You're the guy that reaches out. You're also our marketing guy. So they don't know. But if PCA could be a better bridge to educate them on like, hey, I know if they want to have media as a category, which they do, then they should support it more. Or just not have it. Like, that's perfectly fine too. And have it be buyers and sellers. Because that's the point.
Yeah.
Which of those is worse, in your opinion, between the two? Right? Current state versus not having it at all? I mean, it's kind of... Sorry, I just realized. I was going to light this up, and I'm like, nope, I'm going to save this in the morning. I'm going to jump off. I'm listening to you guys. I'm going to grab another cigar.
No, you're fine. I don't know. I feel like, having no media kind of defeats a lot of the progress that's been made, especially because the cigar industry, in comparison to other industries, doesn't have a lot of like really progressive media channels.
Sure.
I think that it's good to keep it in, but I think that it can always be done better. And this is not, we're doing our PCA recap and we're kind of not bitching, but we're, expressing the areas of opportunity that we feel as though exist, right? Like, and that's realistically
Very
what it's
marketing.
about.
Very marketing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the point. I mean, you don't, when you're doing a constructive criticism or you're trying to build something from marketing, you don't attack it with praise. You attack it with, these are the points that I see are bad. Let's fix them. And that's, I think, a lot of the problem. Like, even with my company, they don't like that perspective. But I come from turnaround consulting, so we're like, hey, you're bleeding millions of dollars each month. Here's are the holes, and we go from there. And that's just the realistic of like it doesn't help to be fluffy. It just doesn't. Like,
so that line in marketing really is true, huh? Nobody likes advice unless they're paying for it.
Yeah. and they want good advice too.
And I'm like,
they want happy love. You're doing a good job. Why'd you hire me then? Like back in 2014, I worked for a company where it was, I don't know what's happening. We're failing. I'm firing people. We hired you. And we'd still go into these companies and we'd be like, all right, this is what's wrong. This is wrong. And then we get pushback. I'm like, why are we here? And that's the thing. People don't want to hear it. Like, well, I've been doing this for 40 years. Right. And for 39 years, it was great. And now you're dying. So let's fix it.
And another thing, too, is that the PCA feedback email that gets auto-generated and sent out next week, if somebody can just transcribe this episode and submit it, then, it makes things a world easier than me trying to hit the little bubbles that I'll eventually hit when I give them their feedback.
That no one's going to read anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
so
they're not going to pay someone to give a crap about those feedback emails.
Yeah.
No.
You ever filled out those anonymous surveys in a company?
No, it's did we win or lose money this year? Great, on to the next year. That's all it is.
Yep. Numbers. Yep.
I'm interested to see how they're going to structure Las Vegas Convention Center. So I'm really interested.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of a new look. Was it originally at the Las Vegas Convention Center and then it moved to Venetian, or is it always kind of?
I think the Venetian had a 5-year contract with them, so it would be 2018 through. I don't remember, honestly.
No.
I mean, 5 years at this point is such a.
And I think too, like some of the media influencers that we all know and love, I think that there's a huge distinction in the cigar world between the channels that have existed for a long time and rightfully so have earned a lot of that street cred and like some of the new media, right? So like everybody on the PCA showroom floor is going to know who somebody like Cigars Daily is. That's a given. You know, if Brian from Cigar Obsession walked through the halls of PCA, everybody would know, hey, that's Brian, right? But there were very few that went up to Matt and were like, hey, that's Cigar Hound Dog. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, or, you know, Master Your Ash or, you know, Big Jimmy.
Yeah.
You know, there were very few in comparison. And that's not a bad thing because we're all still new and growing and stuff like that. But when you look at the badge and you see media, it should be more inquisitive. Like, oh, what is it that you guys do? How is your channel? Well, what type of audience do you get? You know, so on and so forth.
Oh, that's a question I should have asked. Because I was like, oh, cool. What do you do? Like, I covered the first two. I didn't ask the third one. That's the other thing that I need to get better on. And this is like my project for the next 12 months, starting Monday, is I dislike social media. Typically, I tend to be relatively private, and I understand the value of it and all of these things. I dislike it. I don't have Facebook, but I'm gonna I've deactivated or I got locked out of an account like 4 years ago.
You like memes?
Yeah, the meme. Like, if it wasn't for Instagram, I would lose maybe 20 people that I send memes to and like share stories. And this was a funny thing that came up with one of the brands. They're like, well, you know, a lot of this brand is promoted more than mine. And I'm like, what kind of promotion? My last post is from January 7th, which was Orthodox Easter.
Yeah.
And like I rolled Sodomas, which is like fermented cabbage leaves. And I made a joke with the cigar portion of it, right? And I'm like, this is what a Serbian master level 7 roller does. And like, you can look at it. And I'm like, cool. And the previous one was from like May of the previous year. And it's not funny. I'm just like, I'm not bad at it. I just don't like it. I still spend a lot of time scrolling and sharing. I just like, it's not me. And if I am doing things, I want it to be me. But at this point, it's which
is an even better opportunity for you to leverage your brands through somebody else's established social media that they do every day. Like all of the dinosaurs that are like, you know, we don't post much. I mean, like when you see your personal cigar, even you, when I tag you in a review that I have made on your cigar, sir, you always send me the thank you so much for reviewing the cigar. And then you're like at minute marker 3 minutes and 57 seconds, it's actually a 3-year Habano, or it's actually a 5-year Connect. You know, it's like you're educating and then making sure that the information is correct, which means that you went through and watched the review. I cannot tell you how many brands, especially big brands, that have marketing dollars and marketing budgets that we tag in our reviews and they go thumbs up, or they don't say anything at all. And it's like, well, you obviously didn't watch Cigar Hound Dog's review because he gave you an unpleasant, or he said that you were a dog rocket.
The funny part is my response doesn't come from like, oh, this is like, it's not like, oh, let me adjust or like make sure that the right information is there. No, it comes from like, hey, you put in the effort into this. The least I can do is actually watch the final product, right? Not knowing whether it took 15 minutes or 17 hours to like get this done. That's like the least. You take time to review something that I've spent time making. The least I can do is return a favor. Like not even a favor. That's like the right thing to do. And I just, I don't get it. Like, yes, I understand. Like, I realize where my fault with social media is, but like, still, that's like just a human thing to do. Like, spend 45 minutes, like, play it in the background. Be like, just listen to it while you're answering emails or smoking a cigar for that matter. Like,
and we haven't talked about them enough. This, you know, every single live stream ever. We want to talk about the power of someone who is someone mentioned earlier, the hottest cigars on the market right now. And that's Sanj, who doesn't matter what you post, how many times you post it, he's gonna be there, he's gonna share it, and he's gonna make a comment, and then he's gonna pop up on your video and he's gonna make the same comment, and he's gonna correct you if you say something wrong. He'll leave a tip, he'll respond to people. He's everywhere, and because of that, his cigars right now are everywhere.
Triple
And
cap.
everyone
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's another one. I really admire what Steve Saka did, because he is similar in that vein. He's like, I don't care, but he's like, I don't care about social media, but he is one of the people that I really do want to pick up a couple of things from, because I think what he's done with marketing is probably, I don't know if benchmark is the right word, but for a smaller brand, let's say.
Mhm.
I mean, they're not small by any means, but you go back a few years, they just started, right? Even though he didn't really start, he did have 15, 20 years worth of, if not more, actually, at this point, right? Connections and
Yeah.
experience and everything else and actual knowledge, but that portion is relatively new. So that is something that I would like to at least learn and emulate from. And then Sanj is a great one. I completely kind of forgot about that, but Sanj is really good at that too.
Saka had like this thing where he stopped allowing people to tag him on Instagram. And then TPE earlier this year, not only did he take Keelan from the Vintage Cigar and post him up and his review one day, but then he took mine and reshared it to his personal Facebook on that day. Driving into TPE, I saw it and I was like, oh, he actually wrote something. And he wrote, this was such a cool review to see someone not just review the cigar, but also pair it with something. And I was like, oh, he actually got the gist of the review too,
Yeah.
And it's like, that's really cool, right? And just little things like that make the time and effort kind of worth it in its own unique way.
Yeah,
I think are important.
And to Steve's credit, I mean, he doesn't care if you like or dislike his stuff, because you can tear it up. He'll still pop up and compliment. That's what he did to me. I didn't know he was going to see my video, and he still had a good interaction with me, complimented my channel, and sent me stuff to check out. Like, he doesn't care, because it's Steve. Like, he's going to make ridiculously good cigars and have a big fan base regardless. Like, I mean,
Right.
all PCA was people lining up to sit down and kiss his ring on his chair. Like, that's his entire booth was that. Like,
I would have kissed it. I would have kissed it.
I mean, I'm sure if he would have started every interview like this, many would have.
Yeah.
Like,
when you're at the top of the mountain, you don't really have to look for the food. It comes to you, right?
yeah, he don't give a shit. He's just like, all right, who's the next person that's gonna sit next to me?
Kiss, or are we approaching the whole community?
No, he's just a super spreader. He's just
Super spreader.
Well, I sent you enough Dumbarton stuff, EJ. I'm sure you'll find one stick in there you like.
You sent more than plenty. I appreciate it, man. No, and that was one of the things with that cigar specifically. I smoked the only one that even EKB, who arguably of all of us is the biggest Saka fan, didn't like. So
Yeah.
like, it just
That size.
happened to get the one that wasn't the money shot.
And Peter, what's your favorite Saga cigar?
The Saka Khan has to be my favorite, but it's such a massive stick. Like, when I light it up, I'm like, I'm only getting through 2/3 of this. Like, I don't even try to get into the final third. Like, I'm just gonna enjoy this for the time that I have and just cut it off. So, I mean, I already ordered like 5 boxes of the Papa Saka. I was like,
why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised?
Sure you all get a stick or two coming. And I mean, it's just a perfect cigar for me. Like, right now, that hits the sweet spot.
Yeah. When do those come out?
I'll get mine next week.
Nice.
I love that you hit a very important, inadvertently, right? But like, you hit a very important note. They're like, how far down should I smoke this cigar or whatever? My answer is always the same: as long as you enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. That's
you're done. You're
done. And like, and I've like light something up, something comes up, and I have a very, now this is like another detour, because of some, right, like, I worked around alcohol basically every day, so I made kind of like a framework in my mind. I'm sure you do the same thing, because you're around alcohol
every day. I'm around it right now.
Or like how I'm going to manage cigars no differently, right? I don't smoke, or I try not to smoke when I'm stressed. It's always meant to be a treat. It's always meant to be like, hey, life is good, right? Like I woke up this morning, I'm luckier than everybody else who didn't.
Yeah.
Right. I'm the luckiest guy in the world right now, because there's people who didn't wake up that morning. So that's how I start my day. And then obviously there's the stress, but I try to make sure that I don't enjoy cigars when I'm there, because then I'm turning it into a habit, which it isn't. Right? It's not a habit for me. Yeah, you can get addicted to friendship and all of the other stuff, right? Like the community and the enjoyment, and the tasting portion, the experience, the tactile sensation of it sitting in your hand, right? All of the other things, but not the actual like nicotine, right? You don't get addicted to it. You get all the other stuff, maybe, yeah. So that was like an important framework where I'm like, okay, I'm going to smoke only in these situations. Like I'm relaxed, I'm enjoying life. This is a treat, which is funny.
Yeah.
Like, this is my fourth enjoyment today of life. So yeah.
No, there's definitely parallels with the liquor world too. Like, you have to kind of make sure that you're drinking for the right reasons and not the wrong ones sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
DJ.
I got an upper in there too.
Yeah, it's like the nicotine. If anything, it's a hindrance. Like it's the one thing about cigars that I can hate, because it's like I never get like a nicotine buzz to any degree and really think like, oh, that's awesome. It's just always like, okay, I hope it just stays there and doesn't get any stronger. Like it's always just like one of those things where it's just like, just go away, just please, just stop.
Yeah.
The sweats. This is what I was really craving, rather than eating a 4x4 in and out. Like,
oh man, that sounds so good right now. Holy
dude, I've only eaten a 4x4 once.
What?
Dude, I only had it once. It was like 12:30 or 1. It's like the only spot that's decent and like still open that late. When I was working in Santa Barbara, I did a massive 16-hour day. Like didn't get ate a power bar. That's all I ate.
Oh man.
So we go there and I literally inhaled it. Like there was no chewing involved. It was like done in four like inhales.
I like to get the multiple Flying Dutchmans and stack them on top of each other. That's the one where it's just the cheese and the patty.
Yeah.
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 No
and
bread.
then like the animal style in between, you get like the grilled onions and stuff, all the little stuff off the grill, throw that in between, stack them.
I got to try that next time I decide.
Straight carnivore.
Yeah, man.
So I did that, and I'm like, okay, this was like hit the right spot. I go to bed at like 3:30 in the morning. I wake up with like the sweats. And it's just, right, like my body relaxed, like all the blood went to my stomach, and then it was kind of like being hungover, where you're just all the alcohol is evaporating from you, but somehow worse. So Flying Dutchman, 4 of them, stack them on top, and then
100%. I think that night one,
it was the vegetables that messed you up. That's what it was.
Dude. Night one when I left, when I smoked with you guys at the Infuego Sahara store, right? So like I had gone hiking that afternoon before I met up with you guys. Mm-hmm. Super duper hungry. The wife orders Thai food. So when I get home after smoking with these gentlemen, sure enough, 1 a.m., let me hit that level 9 Thai food. And I did not fall asleep until probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, then got up at 7 to go down to the trade show. Yeah. Bubble guts on everything.
You're a madman.
It's a bad time.
You're a madman, Mike.
Yeah. Last year, we ended up going out. It was after, I think it was TP, actually. Ended up going out, and we stopped. What's the ramen place next to Golden Tea that's open 24/7? They do an oxtail ramen.
Manta ramen?
Yeah, I think that's the one. So we got that, and they're like, "Oh, what level of spice?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll do an 8." Oof.
Yeah, they got you.
Incredibly delicious, but I regretted it about 2 hours later when I got up. It was like 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh God.
Ooh.
It was a fun experience.
Oh,
it was still delicious. I'd probably eat it again. It's just.
Yeah, I love oxtail anything. Oxtail
100%.
pho.
Yes.
You know, rabo encedido, Cuban food, oxtail, anything oxtail, love it.
I have a question for you, Matt. Being that you're kind of the more sensitive when it comes to cigar spice, do you like spicy food? obviously different.
Not particularly, no. And like
Okay.
everybody's definition of spicy is different, you know.
Yeah.
Like I went to an Indian food place and they asked me like what level of spice. I said, oh, medium. You know, I go like mild, medium, or hot. I said medium. Wasn't medium for me.
No.
It was freaking you know, nose just completely, you know, mucus coming out, just disgusting, sweating, just not fun. Not fun. So yeah, I think I'm a wimp when it comes to like spicy food as well.
Okay.
I like spice, but it's got to be right, not like a concentrated Carolina Reaper and like.
Yeah,
something
no, I
like
still like to be
ghost
able to
pepper,
taste my
like,
food.
You know,
Yeah.
concentrate and you drip it into your eyeball. Like it's got to be. The spice is really. It's a tactile
That is
sensation.
not
right?
true, John.
Yeah.
That is not true.
That
Maybe
is not
10
true
years ago.
at all.
It's kind of true. It's kind of true.
Maybe 10 years ago, bro, you could have made that statement.
10
but
years
no.
ago?
Wait,
What was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it, but
Dude, it's like
just-
it's gone so far downhill in the last decade.
I've actually went.
Maybe where you live.
Whataburger?
Maybe, well, there are none where I live, but
So there was one close.
It's gone really downhill in Vegas.
Yeah.
it never made it.
Yeah, DFW area, and there was one close to Grapevine, and I was so excited to go, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like I haven't had one in a couple of years. I'm like really excited.
Yeah.
And I went
Been
there,
there.
and I left depressed. Like it was good, but it was depressing.
The only time
Talking about?
I've been satisfied leading a Whataburger is it was on, I think, like Thanksgiving Day, and we went and did Prairie Lights, which is a drive-through Christmas tree thing. And then we got that at the very end of the night, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's good." And then ever since then, I'm like, "No, man, this is just a burger that Texans really like."
Yeah.
Do we
For
have anyone
some
that's like
reason.
Arizona or like this whole area, like Arizona, Nevada? I don't know if you have Cane's in Texas.
Like Raising Cane's?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cane's is huge out here,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
which is also overhyped.
Okay.
Are you talking
I'm
about
just gonna
Raising
stop.
Cane's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like snack food stand freaking chicken fingers.
Chicken with a sauce that is like just pepper milk that people think is amazing.
Someone was
Yeah.
like, "It's so much better than Chick-fil-A," and I'm like,
Which is not a hard thing to accomplish.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry,
The Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, I will still say, will beat out anything at Chick-fil-A.
Which I'll also
That's
say,
Wendy's.
Plus, they're social
In-N-Out's
media.
not great either. So that's Whataburger, In-N-Out,
but we're
both
talking-
are just
we're
meh.
talking like fast food,
Look,
right?
I
Like,
mean,
yeah.
if I had to rank it by burger, I would probably say Five Guys is much better than In-N-Out as well. But
That's
there's
good.
just
don't disagree with
I
that.
like that's why I'm saying like I just feel like Whataburger or In-N-Out, you can basically put them side by side. That's fine,
Sure.
but they're definitely not the superior burger for sure.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. But
Yeah.
my issue with Five Guys is the last time I went there for two of us, we ended up getting like 2 burgers, fries, and 2 shakes. And
$60.
Yes.
And you gotta pay a mortgage on it. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at that point, I was like,
But the free peanuts while
yes,
you wait,
that is
that
Yes,
will
the fact
soften any blow.
you're correct. I actually go to eat there when I want to be around people that are not allergic to nuts. Yes. that
Yes,
is why you
exactly.
go to
There's
Five
no-
Guys.
There's no gluten
The only
allergies.
acceptable-
There's no almond allergy. Like no, you're just
the only acceptable form of discrimination.
There's no
It's like,
vegans.
that's like really.
it's one of the greatest places. It's like a place of solace that you could just still go to, like a cigar
But yeah,
shop.
that's so. My question is, would you have 4 sets of your Flying Dutchmans, or 2 burgers from Five Guys and shakes and fries? I literally looked at it and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like
Well-
this is a
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? Like you can get 4 Flying Dutchmans and spend $12, or you can go down
Yeah.
to Five Guys and spend $100.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
like price to quality is just not. It is a better
Yeah.
burger. Is it 5 times better? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I
So-
mean, like the thing is too is that there's so many more add-ons that you could do at Five Guys.
Greatest burger, and I will.
Fast food burger.
It's quick serve, right? It's a bar, give or take. It's called the Lucky Beaver in Reno.
Oh yeah, that is a phenomenal burger.
So
Absolutely.
Freed out of New York makes their blend for them, and there's a 50 or 60 day dry aged burger. So the preface is you gotta like dry aged. So if you like that funk, that's gonna be. during COVID, like the flights are stupidly cheap. I got a $7 or $12. I think it's like $12 Spirit flight from Vegas to Reno. Coming back same day, I flew in. The Uber from the airport was more expensive than the ticket. The burger was more expensive than the burger. Or sorry, the flight. I ended up going there. I ate it and flew back. And I'm still very, very happy that I spent like $100 basically around trip to get that done. The burger is incredible, and I actually had it with. Every time I go to Reno, I make it an absolute point to go there.
Yeah, the Lucky Beaver is pretty spectacular.
Brian from Cavalier is the first person, or Cavalier now, who's in Louisiana. He took me there for the first time, and he's like, "You'd like dry aged burgers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's such a treat to have it without." He's like, "Great. How do you like it cooked?" And I'm like, "Rare." And Brian's eyes just whoop. He's like, "Yes." So we both ended up getting it. I mean, it was moving. Literally, he's like, "How would you like it cooked?" He's like, "We would like you to put it next to the grill and like that's it." It is incredible. If you ever go there, it is, in my opinion, truly one of the best burgers in the country.
Slap the cow on its ass and send it out.
All right.
Good to
Five
see
guys
you,
here in
Pan.
New England
See you, Pan.
for sure.
And
See you, dude. Thanks for chilling.
Vlad, I got a question for you for Lampert, real quick.
Yeah.
I just got one called the Dubai Pig.
Hmm.
Is there a story behind that? Because the only story I saw was that there was some guy in Dubai who just wanted this in this vitola, and they're like,
So, it's a guy who lives in Switzerland and Dubai, or parts of money. But Stefan made that special size for him. This is the first one I had, which was Wednesday morning, 5th of July, like just after Stefan landed. He's like, "Hey, I brought you something nice." The story is the dude's very well off, and he's like, "I want you to make this specifically for me." And Stefan does. There's one roller in the factory there's one pair, right, that can make this vitola. So he's like, "Yeah, super limited production, like all of it goes there," and he grabs a couple. Like he brought it from Switzerland for me, so that was pretty cool. I've had one. I've had a great experience. That's kind of it. I don't know. I know it's Ecuadorian Habano on the outside. I know nothing else about it.
okay,
Super delicious. You know what? I think I have to make it.
I was going to do a review on it, so I was just hoping to get a little bit more background.
I can put you in touch with Stefan. Shoot me either an email, or we can just contact here.
Yeah.
This is what I have here. And again, keep in mind, this is like relatively quickly done. So, cold draw, I got cereal, pistachios, and grains. The first, and again, this is just for my personal. This isn't how I usually do them.
Yeah.
Vanilla cream, dark chocolate, earth, sweetness, medium, full body, full flavor. Second is, because we were talking and planning out all the other stuff, cacao, dark chocolate, cinnamon, anise. Transition to the last third was intense milk and Valrhona chocolate, and then Marcona almonds. So last third I didn't finish because I think we were. Oh, I remember what it was. That killed whatever follicles were left in my head. The cigars that were supposed to arrive here ended up being shipped somewhere else. So the day of the event, I had to go and scramble and find cigars. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll ask Stefan. He knows everything about it. I just don't know enough. I've smoked one, and I really liked it. So
it was even just the story of there was just some rich guy in Dubai who's like, "Make this cigar for me." I'm like, that's awesome. So
that was my understanding. And he buys a considerable chunk, a couple of thousand of those a year, right? And I'm sure he gives them away, smokes them, but that's his side.
Wow. Okay, so they're making this for him on a consistent basis.
Yeah, it's an ongoing production, so he'll typically buy a large chunk. The real problem is, right, it's a limited production because there's literally one rolling pair that does this specific vitola, and that's it.
Okay.
So what blend is it under? It's its own dedicated blend. It's its own thing.
So the Oro line what is now the Gold line, right? The El Gringo, the Don Patron, and Gatsby was originally called My Cigar Lab. And the whole idea behind that was making bespoke projects for people, right? So you had the A's that were for his shop. You had the Golden Retailer Salomon, which was actually part of that before we kind of retooled that. And I'm like, cool, because his A's were
TJ.
The A's were basically, I think he made 1,000 cigars or 2,000 cigars, one of those two things. So the only way you could get it is if you spend $10,000, 10,000 Swiss francs a year with him, he gives you a box. And if you want to buy additional ones, they're 100 Swiss francs a pop. So I looked at it and jokingly said, hey, man, I spend more than that. Like, can we get access to these? He's like, yeah, cool. But, like, we're shipping these from Switzerland. This is going to be expensive as hell to kind of bring in. So we ended up bringing, like, 1,000 of them. And we made it, like, I was like, I'm not going to put this out for $100. This is stupid. So we made it, like, $45. And basically it was like 1,000 cigars. All I did was just went for my hands, where I basically just handed them to the retailers, and there was like just like as an appreciation kind of thing, like, hey, here you go, guys. Basically it just covered shipping and taxes and the facilitation. And that was it, like on my side. And the question was like, well, why would you do that? And I'm like, what am I going to do? Retire off 1,000 cigars? Right. Like, I'd rather have this go out to, yeah, I'm like, seriously, right? Like, yeah. I really want this to go out to people. Like, I'm sure people will buy them. And there's less than 100 or so floating around, like, in the wild somewhere, because people still buy them. They're difficult to ship because of the size, right? And my only test of an A size is, would you smoke 2 cigars in the time frame that it takes you to enjoy that A size, or would you smoke that? And in my mind, there's really 3 cigars that I say yes to. One is the Monte Cristo A, right, which has probably been out of production now, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't really. You don't see too many of those.
And again, the last one I've smoked is probably before I even moved to the States, so 2014, 2015, early. I found I've gifted one that was from 2001, so I hope it's gonna draw. To a friend of mine, or actually Sharp, owns the lounge.
Where we are right now.
Yeah, yep. I gifted it for his birthday. So one of the deals is I have 1 A left from Stefan. So when we do end up deciding to enjoy those, I'm gonna light mine up. He's gonna light his. And, go from there. So that's one of them. The A definitely ranks there because it's Ecuadorian with undisclosed binder fillers for his, again, Swiss shop. And it's a really great experience. It's a nice little mellow roller coaster. It's like teacups, but like with a little bit of elevation. It's a nice little ride.
The Matterhorn?
Yeah. Yeah, actually. So yeah, it's a very nice, like, gentle ride. It has a very, a lovable hike that isn't going to make you, sweat, and you don't need to prep for 4 hours. You can take your little hydro flask and kind of do your thing, and it's going to be a nice, beautiful view at the end. And it ramps up. It goes from light to medium, and as the cigar burns, it gets to like almost like touching medium full. But there's like multiple transitions there. I actually have a review written here in the notes that's like legitimately nerdy. There's like 5 different, like, very distinct changes. So yeah, like, I really love that one. But yeah, that's kind of the short story of it. I don't even know what the question. You guys should stop.
John asked about the Dubai pig.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it ended.
And we ended up on
my cigar lab. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So really,
thanks for stopping in, Mark.
My cigar lab was Don Patron, and the other 3 regular productions under that line. We basically took it out and said, okay, like, this is its own line. This is the regular production stuff. All the other stuff that you do, right? The A's, the Salomons, the Flying Pigs, all the other stuff. That's a completely different thing that has nothing to do with the regular.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Production stuff, just from like a coherency of the brand. And if you kept in touch with us for the last like 2 years, just kind of like seen the changes. We updated the boxes. Everything's now uniform. All the blends have blend explanations in them. Some on the bottom, admittedly, like Xikar. The blend explanation being placed next to the barcode, and I think it's just a funny portion of the cigar industry. Like, why would you? Like, who's gonna look on the bottom for an explanation? Raise your hand if you've ever looked at the bottom of the box, right? I certainly can't. So that's just the funny little. Like, obviously, it's gonna get fixed in the next run of boxes, but things like that happen. I think there's a lot more coherency. Stefan, to his credit, is extremely agile and like extremely open to all of this.
That's cool. Well, I appreciate the explanation. That's helpful.
Like, and this may be a hard thing to kind of measure, but have you noticed ever since changing the bands on the oral line, like, have you noticed, more recognition and more like, just kind of a push behind Lampert, especially the oral line now that Lampert's on the band?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you nailed the right thing, right? Lampert wasn't on the band, so it was in fact, if you looked at my story a few days ago, we had another retailer here, Amit, who kind of looks like the guy in the band. He has a beard, and he was smoking a cigar, and we started laughing about it, so we got him a top hat to actually wear at the event. And to his credit, he actually did. And it was, I just made a joke, right? The man, the myth, the band. There you go. It just kind of fit the part. But you're right. There has been a lot more recognition, specifically because because everybody was like, "Oh, what's with the top hat?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, Lampert." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay, well, now everything's there." We've upgraded the band again. Like both Stefan and I tend to obsess about these minute details. Like one of the things that bugs me with my band is that because I did everything remotely, I wish I had a chance to actually touch the band. I'm big into the tactile sensation.
Texture.
So the texture is now, the embossing is done better. The gold isn't as shiny now; it's matte, and the paper is just thicker. Just from you grab it and you're like, oh, cool! Like they raised this. Like the top hat has a tiny, almost imperceptible indent,
bump,
if you will. Like it's almost bump, like it's raised. But if you pass your finger on it, like, oh, it's there. Like they thought about the little tiny things. Which I always think is important. I had a discussion years ago with someone. They're like, well, no one's going to care about this. And I'm like, look, I care about this. There's got to be one more person out there that's going to care about this. And we made this slight little change and raised the price by 1 cent per ring or something. And I'm like, I don't know if we'll financially recover from this decision. But someone actually looked at it, and within 2 weeks of the stuff shipping out, someone reached out and they're like, hey man, is this a pull tab? And I'm like, vindication. Yes it is. But I really appreciate the little things you thought about. Yes, vindication. But really, we're constantly improving. It's small little perfection is obviously unattainable, so we're just going to strive to it slowly and drive each other insane.
Mind passing me the back?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Did the Ocean Breeze get a revamp too?
Yeah. So if you remember those old Big Gulp 7-Eleven-ish looking labels with just very, very bad color combination, Ocean Breeze now looks a lot cleaner. It looks the way it's supposed to, and the story behind the cigar is cool, which I've kind of doesn't like me telling him. And I'm like, dude, it's a cool story. He's like, Ocean Breeze, this is this. And I'm like, look, you were trying to figure out the blend. It's based on the H. Upmann 54 Magnum, which is one of his favorite cigars that he can't consistently get now. So, he basically, when you have access to a factory and you can't get what you want, what do? You try to recreate it, right? It's just to be
you make it.
I'm just going to remake this for myself. And I think he did a really, really good job with that too. So the name behind the name Ocean Breeze is he was down to 2 blends, which of those he's going to pick. And he's sitting at the beach in Costa Rica, and he's like, I got to make a decision. And he's sitting there. He starts enjoying it, and he's like, wow, man, that Ocean Breeze really feels good with this. And he's like, oh, that's the name, right? Very simple, no different than they are. So there's a Paul Patel, right? He loves those, and I've made a couple of jokes, be like, yeah, of course, man. He owned a 7-Eleven too at some point, I'm sure. So I'm like, bro, I get where all this love comes from. But they are, and they're old at this point. At this point, I think they're 2.5 years old at least. So if you find that band, you can see where nothing else changed, just the band, right? You can see where the blends kind of go, and it develops a little, tertiary flavors tend to show up around that 3-year mark, which is cool. I like old band stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the ones.
When Michael showed the band, I could tell because I had one a few weeks ago, and it was the old band. and it had no like bumps or raises, but I could tell that the one Michael had, it was like revamped already. So visually, you could just tell.
Yeah, it's just a very, very unfortunate band.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the Tabacos Costa
The
Rica
cigar
line.
was delicious, though.
Yeah.
For my first one, I'm looking
Oh, it's a great cigar. Yeah.
Great cigar.
The El Gringo is a good one because he started working at the factory back in 2017, and they called him the El Gringo, right? So then he starts doing a little bit more business with them, so then he gets upgraded to Don Patron. But he's like, okay, cool, like we got the two names. And then the third one, he was working on that pyramid, which is the same blend. The only difference is it uses a darker shading of Ecuadorian Connecticut, so you don't really get Ecuadorian Connecticut. It's almost like Habano-like in its color, right? If we go for the shadings 1 through 7, this is like a 5 or a 6. Obviously, smaller amount of those are available, so it's a regular but limited production. And the Gatsby came around, so he's flying from Panama because in order to get to Costa Rica, you typically take the two connecting airports are either El Salvador or Panama. Panama is like Las Vegas to LA, like 45 minutes. So his flight gets delayed. He's got a meeting with the factory. He's late. He gets off the airport, doesn't go to the hotel. He rolls into the factory in his linen suit and like a little Panama hat. And the secretary that works, the receptionist that works there, worked since 1996 for the factory.
Shit.
And she's super funny, sarcastic, like just the right amount of, to make you laugh. So he walks in, and she goes, "Ah, Mr. Gatsby, we've been expecting you." And he just lost it. He's like, "Okay, that's the name of it."
That's cool. That's good. Out of that line, which one's your favorite?
Don Patron, hands down. Like, not even a question. It just hits everything. If you want to, and I love cigars like those. If you want to focus on it, and really, it gives you everything but the kitchen sink. Like the plethora of aromas, flavors, has a couple of different, very apparent transitions in its profile. It's not strong nicotine wise, so you can smoke multiple. Very really, really good, and it's that 5-year Peruvian Palo de Oro with the Dominican filler that really works. So I love that one. That's like really my favorite, and it is the best selling one out of the three. It's just it hits everything right.
It's one of the few cigars. It's one of the few cigars where I describe the smoke texture as being juicy. It's like 100%
of you're right. Like silk, but like raw silk. It just coats the palate and it's rich without being overbearing. And I love that cigar. That's
it's a
probably
fantastic
the one I
cigar.
all of them. Thank you. That's like I'm very, very proud of that cigar. Like Stefan did a phenomenal job with it. And the story's cool.
That's a dope story. Is anything down the line you guys have planned for like a line extension or new blend or anything, or just pretty much everything that we're seeing right now is what we're gonna see and you're just gonna focus on those?
So we got the Limitada coming from Tabacos de Costa Rica. It'll be a Toro, most likely October or November. It'll be ready. So it's been sitting. I want to say I have it written down somewhere. I think the rolling date was like around the 15th or 20th of October. I know it was a week before Halloween last year when they were like finished and actually like set aside. So 10 count box, right? Aged for a year, 500 boxes or 5,000 cigars made only. I'm excited to see that. So that's the only addition that we'll see, I think, by the end of the year. We do have the short Robusto boxes coming in the fall, which you've seen, which I think we'll add the Morado short Robusto in there, which would be just like an additional size. So if you look at our portfolio, everything's kind of standardized, both to make it easy for the retailers, consumers, and everybody. Everything's short Robusto, which again, Europe absolutely loves. Short Robusto, Robusto Toro. And then there's that one odd pyramid right in the Gatsby because I think it's kind of cool. Aside from that, we have the Blanco, which we'll probably release next year. We are working on one more regular production line, and I think that'll be it. And at that point, we'll do probably 1 or 2 LEs a year and maybe like a couple of line extensions. I've been pushing him to do Lancero, most likely out of KBF, just because I love that factory, and Hendrix is genius.
Yeah.
And that would be interesting. We haven't had it in the portfolio. I know he's done some out of Tabacos de Costa Rica for, again, someone who's like, hey, I'd like 2,000 Lanceros for myself, which I would like to meet that man. And it's actually the Don Patron blend in that Lancero. I think that would be like just right. But yeah, that's kind of what we have initially planned for the next. I mean, we have stuff in the pipeline over the next 24 months, funnily enough, but that's like in the near term. Actually, I can show you guys the. I can show you the 10-count boxes for those who haven't seen them.
Show. Let's check it out.
What's everyone smoking, by the way? Oh, nice.
Oh, I love that. That's my favorite release, by the way. The Chinchale out of that's La Isla, right?
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite releases out of La Isla. And Hostos is amazing. Yeah. I personally think
Peter.
Is that the Crux Habano?
This is the Crux
Nice.
Is that the Pastelitos?
Yeah.
You are the 6th or 7th person that has told me this cigar is incredible, and I'm gonna go and buy it just because it's awesome.
I have extra.
So like this is the little travel pack Short Robusto for Rocco. So we'll have that, the Azul. Let me figure out.
Nice.
Yeah, Azul, Rojo, and Morado. Right, a little travel pack, 10 cigars, and on the shelf this like MSRP's for $85. We've spent 9 months working on this. Like between figuring out the whole reason for this is to make it more approachable in super high tax states. All right, so California, at the time Nevada as well, and the reason was to keep it like under $100. We've literally like really worked on it.
That's dope. That's a great little size too.
And I'm sure Europe is gonna love these because they like it's a great gift. I mean, if someone like I get cigars as gifts and stuff like that, and I'm just, guys, I love you. Please don't spend money on this. Like, do me a favor. Like, here's my, like, for Christmas, they're like, oh, what do you, like, which cigar do you want? And I'm like, I'm going to set you back about $300. But no, I'm like, hey, do me a favor. Like, here's a list of books on Amazon, and I make sure nothing's over $20. Like, 25 is the max, and it's a, one you can beat goats to death with, like this big. And I'm like, hey, like, if you want to get me something for Christmas, like, here's the list. I think that's, like, fair. So this is, like, if someone came and gave me this, I would absolutely love them. Be like, this is cool. Looks the part, doesn't break the bank, right? Like,
hey, you can fit that in a stocking too.
Yep. I mean,
you can fit
question mark. I mean, just
hell yeah, man.
Maybe get Quentin Tarantino involved.
Oh. He'd love to shoot it. He'd love to shoot it. Sure.
Thanks. I'm glad someone. It's nice to be appreciated. But
we were talking about movies last time as we got into like the 245 mark. That's typically when.
Oh my God! I would love to. Next time you guys if we end up doing it, I will nerd out over.
Well,
okay, can I lead
for the next
off?
20 minutes?
Can I lead it off, please? Like,
yeah.
As long as it's not Dune.
Yeah,
that's literally.
I love that.
Again, the 1984 version or the new one?
Oh,
we're talking about the new one.
Or the Dennis Villanueva. Okay,
I was giving Matt shit last time about it. So
bring back Kurt.
It's a great fucking movie, man.
And it's great to fall asleep to. I got great sleep.
So I watched the movie at this point 4 times. I read the books. I really love it. I personally thought the movie was done by someone who like actually read the books and like appreciated as a huge fan, right? And I've read, after I watched it like 3 or 4 times, I went through like someone's review, and the only real criticism, like someone was like,
that nothing
Jason
happens.
Momoa only shows, Jason Momoa only shows for like, whatever. And like, he didn't make any jokes, like apart from the one where he lands in the hangar. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, what kind of criticism is that? The one thing I will agree with the reviewers, and I think they could have spent like an extra 30 seconds to a minute, is doing the Gom Jabbar scene where, right, like
doing anything.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like that is an
Something?
important piece of the book.
Went
Where
pew
it's
pew
like-
at somebody? Anything?
Yeah, but that's going to happen in the second.
Right,
You
but
guys
you
are
had to hook me in the first one.
But it did. It's setting up the pieces,
It
right?
did
And
not,
it's very
sir.
difficult.
It did
Dude,
not.
you
hook
guys,
me
you
at
guys
all.
are rating. You guys are rating on Vlad's parade so
No,
hard,
But
man.
it's a valid criticism. So if you go back, and one of the reasons why Khodorkovsky's version was such a massive, stupid flop, which kind of sucks because I think it was done well, apart from the graphics of the time and doing the guild navigators that looked like I drew them in a meth-filled haze or something, right? Like they look like giant bugs, like, but not done in like Starship Trooper way cool bugs. It's just like horrible.
No.
One of the failures was like he ended up like jamming all the random stuff from the book without any of the intro stuff. Like you look at Star Wars, be like, oh
Sure.
yeah, the robots are droids, like cool. Like you have ninja warriors who can move shit with their mind. Like, okay, these are the Jedi, but like not from, and like these are flying bugs that show up once and they control all the spaceports because they can sniff
Star
space,
Wars literally
space code.
started in the middle of an
Yeah.
intergalactic battle.
Right.
Yeah, but still,
And it was
it's
interesting.
easy to
The
understand.
beginning wasn't,
And I don't
the
like Star
beginning
Wars.
wasn't- and I don't like Star Wars that much either. But like the beginning wasn't told until episode 1.
Yeah, but you figure out like it's relatively approachable.
So
It
like
with Dune,
for Dune, I'm gonna wait until the 4th movie comes out.
well,
and
that,
then
well, no,
start
I'm talking
there.
about the old version, right, from the '80s, which you haven't seen, where you have Sting in underpants.
Okay.
So
Oh, we lost you.
no, oh wow, the Dune kill.
He just
He controls
he
his
ran-
He's like,
Fell
fuck
asleep.
this. Can't stand this
asleep.
nerd shit.
Either that
But
or his computer died.
the-
It passed out this
Because
time
it's so fucking hot.
because it's so hot outside.
But if you look at that,
Just-
right, like you get the space flying bugs who are like these guys control the space lanes by sniffing space coke.
Oh, we can't.
Lost Vlad's audio.
We can't hear Vlad.
Did you miss the space?
No. I think you're off mute now. My earphone died, so it's charging.
Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, that didn't like really work, and it's just weird. They threw a bunch of like random words that don't mean anything. They have no reference points, and it's just weird.
Right.
Um,
But I take
so-
it you've
and I
read
agree,
Dune,
100%. Someone
right?
said Transformers movie is worse than In and Out. I agree with that.
Right, but you've read Dune.
Those are fighting. Look, the first movie was done incredibly well. It's a visual, like truly visually
because
incredibly well
you've
done.
read
And
Dune,
the
right?
second- Wait, huh? What happened?
Yeah.
I think that we
You-
lost audio. Hold on.
Let me have yours.
Wait.
Yeah, you're all right.
Little technical difficulties we're working out.
Built in. All right.
We,
Should
we
custom?
hear you.
1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, we can hear
We-
y'all.
we-
'cause
it's
you hear
No,
us.
there we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, had to turn off. Is there too much background audio coming in?
No, you
We
guys are
can
fine.
hear it, but it's
You-
bad.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, about a bunch of stuff that like you won't understand unless you read the books. It's kind of like someone
Right.
doing like, hey, we're gonna do a Warhammer movie, but like you're not gonna understand any of this shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are all the warring factions? Because if you started with like Space Marines fighting whoever, like, yeah,
Sure.
that'd be cool
Yeah, yeah.
from a, right, like super understandable. These guys are fighting against these guys, and you're like, who are the good guys? Like nobody, everybody's trash.
Yeah.
Like everybody's a bastard.
Yeah.
Right, like so that would probably be confusing until you figure out like what all of this is. So with Dune, the way the first one is set up, I think the second one is going to be absolutely jam-packed between like riding
Sure.
the worm and like attacking the base, right, taking over Arrakis, right, all of the other stuff that's going to happen. I think that's going to be for everybody else who was like, oh, you know, this is a slow burn kind of thing. And
Yeah,
the
but-
only real
Yeah.
way to do it is you either shoot it as a series that's going to be 17 seasons long, or you break it up in 2 movies. And I think
Right.
the casting was incredible.
But the climax of the first movie was just seeing like Zendaya's face. Like that was
I mean,
it.
Aim.
Like if I had read the books, I'm sure it's an amazing like movie. But you can't rely for people like me who've never seen it and have no idea what the lore of Dune is to be like, it had real good camera work and music. Like,
And that's right. I agree. That's a
Yeah.
very, very valid criticism, right? That's why the first iteration from the 80s like failed so massively because it
Yeah.
was just
too
it was
much.
like a brain dump of everything. Zero like
Context.
Yeah, like it was just
Yeah.
and you figure out, oh, these are the bad guys like halfway through the movie, but like what's with the flying space bugs who do coke? Like why the fuck did they show up for 30 seconds and like did nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are the Bene Gesserit? Like what did they do? Like what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like why did he put a finger like in a box and was like, like what the fuck? None of this has. And they're like, oh yeah, they've been breeding it for 30 generations, and I'm like, cool, like, but where is, like what's the backstory?
Yeah.
But it's great. I think the second movie is going to be a lot more action packed and all that. Like the one movie I won't understand why it ever got so rated was Avatar. Like I will not understand.
We talked
That
about
was a whole topic last time.
That's cool. You gotta let me know next time because I was just like, this is awful. Like in every sense of the word, like terrible.
Yeah.
But again, made billions of dollars. So what do I know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's because it was right at the start of 3D. Like it was perfect timing and happenstance because that movie does not hold up at all, and the sequel is awful, which we talked about
is
that
there
last time.
I've never.
Yeah, there's a sequel that just came out.
It finally came out.
Why? Who's like? How big of a cultural impact is it? What is it? 18 years later now?
Something
Like 14, yeah.
that. Welcome back,
Something
John.
like that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry.
You didn't miss much. But I someone was criticizing like the Lord of the Rings movies weren't done right, and I'm like, that's like fighting words. I don't agree with that at
Yeah.
all. They did it very palatable, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was made very palatable, very understanding. If you can't even read, like you will understand this movie. Yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff that wasn't covered, and some of this was like sped through. But like overall, over 3 movies, I think was incredibly well done.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I personally did not like The Lord of the Rings.
Bastard.
I mean,
How dare
Peter, you have admin powers. You can just click that button.
Just kick 'em.
If you want.
That no,
Kick them off.
I saw an incredibly terrible movie like that. It's not actually fair. It was. It's with Rolling Cities, and it was done with Peter Jackson or by Peter Jackson, one of those two things. And the whole setup, it's like dystopian, like everything kind of fell apart, but it's like the cities can now move. Like they're not they're not stationary. They're not like wheels.
I remember that.
It's just like awful. You can see multiple layers of films and jokes and stuff where it goes from like tense drama to like random funny one-liner that you'd find in a Fast and Furious movie, and then like it reverts back, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There's even like a Terminator shows up like straight out of the Necrons, like straight out of Warhammer.
Clerks 2 perfectly summed up The Lord of the Rings in better words than I ever could. When he's talking about them just walking for 3 movies, the Shire, and then that look that Frodo and Sam give each other at the end. Yeah. No, it's that
It was a long time alone. Shit went down off camera. Get over it.
Yeah. Like that basically summed up the whole series for me.
I mean, it starts to they're basically smoking weed half the time,
Yeah.
right? It's basically like the old hippie pothead that's like,
Come on, hobbits, smoke my peace pipe.
I think it was well done. Like I would happily watch it again.
It's a decent movie.
The Hobbit, between all of them, I've watched it. I don't feel like I would ever need to rewatch it. I don't think I missed anything. Like, yeah, it's a cool spectacle, but I don't really care. Like, it was well executed.
The TV series on Amazon was terrible. Like, just
Which one?
Oh, I've not.
Oh,
watched
Lord
it.
of the Rings one.
don't. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, do not watch it. It's so bad.
Okay, on that note, like look at like 2 series. I very rarely like watch series, but when I get into them, I tend to like really follow them. like 2 weeks ago, I walked into the lounge and someone was watching Walking Dead, and I'm like, this shit's still going? Like, this is still happening? Like, it has been good for like 7 seasons.
Was never good.
I agree. I agree, Michael.
I've never seen it.
Easy, like CGI mess.
No, but you
the
look
whole
at it.
time.
But you look at the character progression was really, really good, right? The guy, what's the British guy who plays Negan? My brain just stopped. He did an incredible job. At least the last 3 seasons I didn't really watch, but he did an incredible job, both as like a bad guy to a point that like I don't want to say sympathize, but like you understand where he's like coming from. Like on all of his moves. Yeah, some of them are psychotic, but also he's like, this is how it is now. I really liked them. I think it was good. I also like the zombie stuff in general when it's done right, and I thought that was well done right until it went like completely off the rails.
Do you like The Last of Us?
I actually haven't watched it.
That was
and
solid.
I really want to watch
Good.
it.
That was solid.
Great show.
That's a great
Great
show.
friggin'
Have you
show.
guys ever watched 28 Days Later?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
To
yeah.
me, that's one of the best zombie movies.
World War Z. World War Z is good.
And this is gonna sound so like nerdy and terrible. I thought the casting was like awful.
Eh.
I didn't ultimately love the movie, and I actually don't mind. It was Tom Cruise, right? Yeah,
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
yeah. That's like not the right casting for that. I thought the book was much funnier, much better done, much better executed. All of that.
Okay.
Max
You
Brooks.
just gotta stop reading, man. That's your problem.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Yeah, then you wouldn't get into things like Lord of the Rings and Doom.
Yeah.
I miss all the Dune shit talk.
There wasn't too much.
Your
shit
power
talk.
went out at the right time.
Dude, this summer for me has just sucked. Like I'm just gonna
Been going through it.
this
Peter,
live
you-
stream.
Peter, are
for
you a
me-
big Dune fan?
I've never read a book or watched any of the movies, but I'm glad I never saw it.
Oh, okay.
I'm willing to give it
Wait,
another shot. I'm willing to give it another shot.
I have a hard time sitting through movies. Like, I'm not a big movie guy.
Yeah.
Like, I can do series, like anything in 45-minute increments I can sit for, but movies, the last movie I saw was the Mario Brother movie with my son.
Oh my
and
God, I haven't
it was
actually-
his first movie. He loved it.
That was actually pretty good.
I really want to watch
enjoyed
it.
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah,
a good
it
first
was eye
movie.
candy.
I need to watch
Yeah,
Mario
yeah.
Brothers, Oppenheimer, and I need to watch Barbie just because of the casting.
No.
Like, yes,
No, you don't.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Oppenheimer.
100%.
How
Yeah,
do you go from Doom
Oppenheimer
to
looks
Barbie,
so
bro?
Like,
because Ryan Gosling looks like perfect Ken. That's why. And
just for him.
his little bits are great.
Oh no, boy!
It looks pretty funny. He's like trying to find himself.
Yeah,
Like it's actually looks pretty goofy, but I don't.
yeah.
I
I
kind
don't
of
know.
want to watch it because I think it's like self-aware, and I
Yeah.
love movies that are self-aware. Like,
Yeah, that's
right,
cool.
like everybody's on the same page. I thought Nice Guys was really good and super underrated.
Fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie, fantastic casting, everything.
I never
was
actually
Everything about it is amazing, man.
Like,
Such
Not
a
gonna
good
watch
movie.
Barbie.
They don't even make good like buddy movies anymore. I think that was one of the last ones.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I watched.
Who is in that one?
What's his name? Gladiator.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Uh,
1970s like PIs. It's fucking good,
like noir
Yeah.
style movie, but it's like
but
1970s.
fast paced too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like I personally thought it was like criminally underrated. I thought it was a great
I haven't seen it. I'll have to watch it.
It's
It looks
really
good.
series wise. Witcher. I thought that was really
What's up,
good.
Alex?
I've heard that's good.
The third season, I still haven't watched it, but I thought the casting was right. They did the right job, and like Henry Cavill is obviously like super passionate about it,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
he did it the right way. I think.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Love the games.
Yeah, and I'm kind of interested in what he's going to do with Warhammer because he is like a legit nerd.
Super nerd about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I just started John Wick 4, and I said on one of the live streams like I could watch those movies all the time, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of getting sick of it. Like, how many times can we retell this story? I'm only like 30 or 45 minutes in, but I don't know. Did you
I
guys?
think those movies were great. I really enjoyed every one of them, and it looked like fun.
Yeah.
It was just, it kind of reminds me of Crank.
Yeah, Crank was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Jason Statham. I think all those movies. If you ever played GTA and you watch Crank, it's literally GTA in a movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just full on shenanigans, and like shit just keeps getting worse and worse, like with every movie.
Yeah.
But if we're going for like Jason Statham and Guy Ritchie, like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, The Gentleman, I thought that was an incredible movie. I've watched it multiple times, and I still love it.
Yeah, The Gentleman's awesome.
Dude, have y'all seen the trailer for the new Ridley Scott
Napoleon?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
No,
That looks sick.
Fucking phenomenal. It's so it's Ridley Scott, it's Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon. And
what?
it
Alright.
looks
Yeah.
awesome.
It's gonna be sick.
Okay.
It's gonna be like, I mean, you think Ridley Scott, Joaquin Phoenix, you think about Gladiator, and obviously you have high hopes because of that.
100%.
Okay, that'll be okay. That's on the list.
I watched a historian watch the trailer, and he was like pointing things out because this guy, like, I don't know, he's like some history PhD on French history, and he was like obviously you can only tell so much from a trailer, but he was like, there's a lot in here that looks like they like really did a good job on.
Yeah.
If anybody
They even had like,
if anybody
you go Bill.
history buff, there's a Napoleon book. I'll find it. He wrote the Napoleon book and the Churchill book. Both are incredible. British historian. His name escapes me, but I read it, and it's like 900-page book. Really, really good. The Churchill one is incredible, especially if you
read it.
Okay.
History and like
it's
a biography.
The trailer made me want to like read about Napoleon. Like, I mean, I know some stuff about him, but like it made me want to actually like read his history because it just
the Rosetta Stone was discovered because of Napoleon. Like they showed the little scene in the trailer of them firing at the freaking pyramids. Because that was his Egyptian campaign. Yeah. They found the Rosetta Stone, and that got the ball rolling as to like how to transcribe hieroglyphics.
Okay.
It's amazing.
That's crazy. Okay. I knew he had an Egyptian campaign, but I didn't know that part about it. So
I had no idea. Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. He seems like a fascinating dude.
The only thing that I know about Napoleon is that apparently his wife was really into as soon as he would get done working in the yard or anytime that he was really sweaty, getting it on. The only thing that I remember from world history.
And he wasn't as short as people thought he was. Like for the time, he was very average height.
Yeah,
he was like 5'7".
Really?
Like for the time, that was very average.
Classic French size.
It's still an average height.
5'7" is actually pretty tall, to be honest, is what I hear.
It's still an average height, right, DJ?
That's right.
Manlet status. Let's go, short kings. No, Oppenheimer looks amazing. I'm excited for that too. I know you mentioned it. That looks amazing. That's the dude from Peaky Blinders, right?
Yeah, Cillian Murphy. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
he's good. In the Dark Knight series too. He was Scarecrow, and he's been in things, but
this is a big Scarecrow.
I liked both the entire Dark Knight trilogy. I thought it was incredibly well done. Of course. And Gotham.
What's that? That movie, Sunshine. It's a Danny Boyle movie with Cillian Murphy. Freaking great! It's a science fiction great movie too.
Don't think he's an underrated actor. He's really good in a lot of stuff he does.
Call him.
Yeah.
Hey, you're fine.
That's I mean, as far as I mentioned Tom Cruise earlier, Edge of Tomorrow. If you haven't seen it,
that's a good movie.
Criminally underrated. In terms of
is that the Groundhog's Day one?
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It's a really good movie.
And what's her name from A Quiet Place or what?
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Yeah.
Blunt. Yeah.
Absolutely so cool in that.
Yeah. I like The Quiet Place a lot too. Like I thought it was incredible. And then John Krasinski, just all the stuff that he did since obviously The Office.
Oh yeah, everything that dude's touched, man, has been really good.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say the new Mission Impossible. Have y'all seen this feature where they go over how long it took Tom Cruise to do that stunt, driving off the cliff? They apparently prepared for that stunt for 2 years.
Wow.
So they brought in like all these teams. Like he had to basically become. He was doing like I don't know how many skydiving jumps every single day to become like super like certified in skydiving. He had to he trained like motocross for like a year or two with like professional motocross guys. They brought in he did base jumping. Like they brought in like all these guys to engineer this huge ramp that he was going to drive off of, and they CGI'd it in the movie. But it was like 2 years of preparation for this thing, and he ended up driving that dirt bike off the cliff and like base jumping basically. And he did like 10 takes that day. But I gotta say, man, like, he's kind of a crazy character, but like, dude, that guy is willing to do all kinds of stuff for his movies. Like, it's insane. But yeah, 2 years for one stunt in that movie.
The amount of preparation that he puts into his roles, man, is pretty amazing because he's doing almost all of his own stunts.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 60.
Yeah, he's 60. Yeah.
Yeah, for Eyes Wide Shut, that was a really
he had to do a lot of stunts for Eyes Wide Shut. That's for sure.
Well, he like snapped his ankle in the last Mission Impossible. One of the last two, one of his stunts, he like completely shattered his ankle, like jumping.
The side building scene in Dubai, that still gives me like really sweaty palms whenever I watch that same scene, bro. When his glove goes out and you just see him look at it and then it flies away, and he's just like, oh, okay. I guess we're doing it with one glove now.
Yep.
Yeah, this is gonna be that shit's wild. I got goosebumps thinking about it right now. Fuck. It's terrible.
Shut this down. Top 10 movie.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. That's top 10s. Best Quentin Tarantino movie. Your best Quentin Tarantino movie, because I think that we all discussed that the last stream or the stream before too.
That's a tough one.
You had to pick one.
I'm torn between Reservoir Dogs and From Dusk Till Dawn.
That's a great one.
Those are good.
Well, what was I think From Dusk Till Dawn, was that directed by Quentin Tarantino or is it just written by him?
Oh, sorry, no, you're right. That's Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez. Yeah. I've actually had I worked in this private club in LA for all the like A-listers, and we had Michelle Rodriguez show up for the Oscars party.
Michelle Rodriguez or Robert Rodriguez?
No, Michelle Rodriguez.
Okay.
And she is legitimately one of the coolest out of all, like most of the celebrities. She's literally like one of the coolest experiences I've had. And so she shows up, right, like black tie event, beautiful black cocktail dress, shows up, comes to my bartender. She's like, hey, may I have a, whatever, tequila or whatever it was. Right, like super nice, leaves them a nice tip. Everything's like comped anyway, so they didn't care.
Sure.
She turns around, like literally goes from like the most prim and proper, incredible guest ever. Someone shows up behind her, and like obviously her friend, she didn't see her. She turns around.
Yeah.
Stop, bitch. And I'm like, yes, this is incredible. That was pretty.
That's
fun.
cool.
Like left a nice little. So.
Yeah, my favorite Tarantino movie has to be Pulp Fiction.
Joel responded. The terrible movie that I mentioned by Peter Jackson, Mortal Engines.
Yeah, that movie flopped hard.
That was a huge flop.
Halfway through, they like realize, right, like they're in on the joke now too, and it just like flies off the rails. Like legitimately, I think you guys need to, like, if you haven't seen it, it's worth, and it's easily digestible. I think it's like 74 minutes or like 80 minutes, so it's like less than an hour and a half, and it's just
well, the cities like eat other cities. It's like
yes.
I think that's when I stopped watching. It was like when London like swallowed Botswana or something. I was just like,
which is kind of like
what's happening?
Yes.
It's kind of like ripping off Howl's Moving Castle, the Japanese anime from back in the day.
Great movie.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, because that was like a city that could engulf other cities, wasn't it? in Howl's Moving Castle?
I don't
Like a
It's been too long. It's
or
been
maybe it
too
was a
long.
moving city that just went to other cities. Is what it was, but it had like a portal and it could become other things. I
I
thought.
think the only anime I ever watched was Ghost in the Shell,
Okay.
early like 2000s, the movie, right? The one that or cartoon, yeah, anime, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I thought that was incredibly well done, like incredibly. I don't know, and well, I don't know if Final Fantasy would be considered that because that was the original fully
Spirited Away.
movie.
Spirited Away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whatever
Yeah.
the movie was from, like at this point, probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2000. I
yes.
think it was 2001.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think from an actual, like regardless of what you think of the movie, that was the first completely CGI done movie with
Yep.
all the best like tech at the time, and it took them like 2 years
Yeah.
to like actually do it. Which, if you think about all the stuff that's like standard practice more or less now, like that is incredible.
Mm.
I remember reading about it, right? Like we go back 20 years ago, like this phone is 50 times more powerful than the most powerful computer they had at the time. So for them to like, spend like 2 days doing the strands of hair in that like one shot where it's like the hair waves, and I'm like, this is awesome. I've never played the Final Fantasy, but I was like, this is really good. Oh, speaking of games, one thing that I think would make a great movie, BioShock.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
If
Never played
That
it.
would be sick.
Never played
really,
it.
really fun. If you
Great
like,
games.
System
Very
Shock
good
or System
stories.
Shock. I mean, imagine systems basically Alien, but done through the prism of System Shock, which would be if you're like vintage enough to have played that game. Like
Yeah.
that's really good. Or Deus Ex, but again, that is such a.
I remember Deus Ex.
But the original
Deus
one,
Ex was sick too.
I've
Yeah, that was
played
cool.
that game 50 times. I could probably still have it on one of my old laptops. It's really, really good. I think it would be super convoluted to like actually make it, just from like all this backstories and everything. So,
Congrats, Alex. That's
Yeah.
cool.
oh, awesome!
Awesome,
Yeah,
Alex.
congrats, bro. That's a very valid reason to not be smoking right now.
Yeah.
Very valid.
Yeah.
We'll
Matt,
smoke one for you.
Matt, what were you saying your favorite Tarantino movie was?
So,
Pulp Fiction.
yeah, I think I'd leave it then at Reservoir Dogs because From Dusk Till Dawn is Rodriguez, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yours is Reservoir Dogs, Matt. You said.
Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
You
Pulp
see-
Fiction. Sorry, you said.
Nice.
No.
You said Reservoir Dogs. That's the right answer.
Come on, the whole scene where he's dancing and cuts the ear off, like that's
Yeah,
you're listening to.
that's
Holy-
tight. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
wasn't,
Pulp Fiction.
wasn't a huge fan of the one where it's all of them stuck in that that blizzard in the mountain, and they're like trying to figure out.
Hateful Eight.
Yeah, that one I wasn't.
That was good. I liked it, but I wouldn't put it. Up
Yeah.
there. I liked it. It was cool.
I like the Hateful Eight for the same reason that I like the show Succession. There's something about The Shining, right? There's like a tone to the score,
Yeah.
and it makes you feel a certain type of like entrapment.
I can see
Falling
that.
asleep.
The Shining's
being
probably
bored.
a better comparison than
Get it.
Succession. But like you feel a certain type of vibe, like some bad shit's gonna happen. It has the tone. You're just like, kind of lulls you to sleep in the middle.
Yeah, you could take a quick nap.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of character development. And you're like, why is everybody here at this one point, at this one time? And the thing that I do like about Hateful Eight as well is I feel as though it's like the tie-in to Inglourious Bastards because of the name association and like historically where it could eventually lead to like Tarantino tying in his multi-metaverse of some kind.
I'll have to kind of go back to it and think of it through that lens because I didn't like hate it. I like most things that Tarantino does, but it just wasn't like, really up there for me.
Okay,
Peter got rained out.
Here's a
Shit.
couple better.
Oh damn!
Space Odyssey 2001, and then
Really good. Yeah.
Interstellar, right? Which,
Mm.
in my opinion, is just Space Odyssey 2001, but 21st century and like watered down. But the fact that, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies of the 20th century is Space Odyssey 2001. The fact that you have literally no words spoken for the first 20 minutes of the movie, and I've got the book as well. So I'm like, yes, like this is really, really good. Like,
Yeah.
they've done it, and then obviously Planet of the Apes. You ruined.
Yeah.
Come on, like the OG one, not all the other stuff that came out.
Caesar.
Yeah, not all the other stuff.
I feel like this movie is kind of underrated, maybe, but Sicario, the way like Michael, you were talking about scores, they were inspired by Jaws. So like
Yeah.
a lot of the score is like supposed to be kind of like horror and like this impending doom. And then the way that this one guy I watched, he analyzed the movie, like the symbolism of like even the colors in the movie and how they get grayer and grayer over time of
Yes.
like. So there was so much more in that movie than just it being like a cartel crime, kind of mystery movie.
Yeah.
Actually, there was so much.
That was also Emily Blunt too, right?
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a super good movie.
It's a great movie.
Now comes the actual question: Die Hard, is it a Christmas movie or
Yes.
Oh, it's a Christmas movie.
not? Why? You gotta like.
I will die on this hill
Yeah,
Because
because
the same way as Home Alone is a Christmas movie.
Okay.
because they're giving presents. There are presents that are given in the movie, which means that it is a Christmas movie.
That would my take is always
They're giving
it
Christmas
happens
gifts.
because of Christmas,
Correct.
right? He comes to visit his ex-wife,
Yes.
right? Like,
for Christmas.
yeah,
For Christmas, yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's
a
the
great
same
that's-
reason.
You want
if-
to?
that's the
Yeah.
driving point of the story.
Yeah, he would
If
never be on
Everything
that
else is-
plane
exactly
because he
everything
hates
else
planes
is- yeah, everything
and he
else
hates
is,
California.
Right.
Yeah,
if
everything
if,
else-
if Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, then neither is Home Alone, because that's just a home invasion that happens to take place at
What
Christmas.
does Dad actually do?
Oh, to have all that money?
Yeah,
We don't know, but the
Well,
best
and
part
it's-
is too, like the hotel bill at the end of the second Home Alone.
Yeah,
When he's staying at like Trump Tower or whatever, and it's like it's like $5,000, and you're just
Yeah.
like, man, the '90s were great.
90s were awesome. Man.
He was able to fly out his whole family 2 years in a row. Stay in that big house, first class, and he's over there like, "Oh my god, this bill is so incredible."
Yeah.
That's
Man, we're
great.
moving some serious weight. There's
Oh,
no other like
dude.
explanation.
He was in distribution for sure.
Okay. Training Day. We're all in agreement that it's an incredible movie, right? We don't need to talk
course.
about it. Okay.
Yep.
Good
Training
call.
Day is great.
I love
Yeah.
Once
I love
Upon
the,
a Time in America. You want to talk about movie scores? Incredible.
Yeah.
Any more corner.
which one?
Once Upon a Time in America.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Noodles.
Yep.
Okay.
Gattaca.
Gattaca's great.
That movie score.
That's a good score.
Ethan Hawke, Ethan
Oh,
Hawke,
yeah.
Jude Law, Uma Thurman.
Mm.
Great score.
Okay. Well, I truly believe this is two movies in one. And they like change direction halfway through the movie. It stars one of my favorite underrated actors, Lawrence Fishburne. Event Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
That's a great movie.
a great
And
movie.
Sam Neill.
Tell me that it doesn't go off the fucking rails like halfway through.
No,
It's really weird.
it turns into a fucking like a 70s horror movie. Like
Yeah.
What's
it's bizarre.
Pinhead, what's the name?
Hellraiser?
Hellraiser.
Totally turns to Hellraiser like all of a sudden. And I'm like,
Hey, the new Hellraiser
Yeah.
was interesting.
I haven't seen that.
It was okay.
You're
I
a
actually-
horror guy, so you're gonna see that.
I kind of liked. Yeah, I am a big horror guy.
I liked The Crow is a gem, and I
Mhm.
agree. That's like
They are
And
going to
underrated.
remake it.
who's gonna? Do we know what the casting is?
We can look it up.
Because who would they put on there?
One I liked a lot because
IMDb bookmarked.
No, I don't. I just type.
I liked Road to Perdition a lot for the cinematography in that movie. That was
Great movie.
Dude, the scene
Great movie.
where it's raining at night and he's just wasting them like that. That cinematography, like the cinematography they used and the lighting and everything, like that is one of my all-time like favorite scenes. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fun about the good movies. What about
The good movie.
horrible movies that should never been made?
Dune.
My top pick is not top pick, but definitely top 5. Dracula 2000.
Yeah.
Has anyone actually watched that? That's my first.
No.
No.
Dracula in space.
No.
I'll just leave it at that.
What was the one? What was the one? Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Great? Okay.
The zombies or vampires.
Okay. I guess if it's just like ridiculous fun, I'll watch it. But it just looks so.
June
Wow. Wow. Uncalled for, sir.
Dude, Peter off the top rope.
Dude. Transformers, I love the shows as a kid. Like, I loved the series as a kid, the cartoon ones. I thought that was great.
Once
and
Megan Fox left, it was over.
And I would put something in that Transformers vein that does it much, much better. Pacific Rim.
Yeah. I like
Both
Pacific Rim.
I like Pacific Rim. Yeah.
Trump versus the Illuminati.
This might piss some people off, but I actually hated the movie Arrival.
I love
Why?
Arrival.
So I had to watch it 3
Yeah,
times,
that
but
definitely.
I did eventually like it. The first
Nope.
time was terrible.
It's
TJ,
kinda
what are you saying about it? What's your
It
opinion? on
was slow and awful.
I just thought it was
boring.
awful. I didn't like the premise of the story. The ending of it. I don't know. I just don't like it.
Is that the one where they're trying to translate the language?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
thought
it's
it was
like,
it was slow. It was slow paced, but I liked it. It was interesting.
Isn't it cyclical? Right? Like it's told in a cyclical way.
Something like that. I can't remember. I just remember I watched it and I was like, I just wasted 2.5 hours of my life.
Arrival, I really loved it because I really loved it. But you do need to watch it like 2 or 3 times because the first time I watched it, I'm like, this is like awful. And a buddy of mine was a massive movie like cinephile. He's like you got to watch it. Like I think you're, I think you're approaching it from a different way. Like you need to rewatch it and like pay attention. Like you can't scroll on your phone while like shit's happening. Like you got to.
I mean,
I paid attention. It was still pretty boring.
It's a slow burn for sure.
TJ and I are on the same page.
By the way, you guys ever want to watch a dystopian movie that's like kind of done right about the book with one missing detail, which I'm really, really happy about? The Road.
Yeah, The Road's good.
Is that what? That's with that's with Vigo, right?
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
What's
good.
the help
like
me guys
it.
with the movie that Joaquin Phoenix is in there, and it's like 2 of them. Who's his partner? It's 2 people, and it's like about time travel, but it's like this Russian guy, and they're trying to like do what's it? Tenet.
Oh, okay.
Dude, okay. Has anybody watched that movie and got it on the first try?
I haven't watched
No.
it yet, but I know which movie you're talking
I've
about.
watched it twice on an airplane ride, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I got it the second time around, like I got bits and pieces, but even he was like, we've shot this movie for 2 years. I don't know, like I don't know what was going on, like half the time.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I couldn't get past 20 minutes on that movie.
Okay, yeah. No,
dude
that,
from
I
It.
think, I think that would be a good one.
It's a good cast.
What's the movie with Tom Hanks where it's about 4 different timelines and how they impact each other? And it was on Netflix. It's like 3 hours long, and if you watch it the first time around, like you're not gonna get it.
Polar Express.
No. What's the Snowpiercer? Have you seen that?
Love it.
Absolutely great
I heard
movie.
Yeah.
Didn't watch the show, but I love the movie.
The movie's good.
I got one.
Oh,
This
good.
came out like 15 years ago, I think, at this point. But Bug, did y'all ever see that? It's like that small independent horror movie. It's go watch it. It's so horribly bad. Go watch it though. Go watch it. It's really bad. Go watch it.
Go watch it. It's terrible.
Go watch
Cloud
Go
Atlas.
watch it.
That was the name of it.
That's probably the worst movie I've ever
Cloud
seen
Atlas?
in my life.
That's the one where even Tom Hanks is like, I don't know what happened in that movie.
If you rewatch it, if you read the Foundation series,
Oh boy,
right?
I got to do more
If-
reading.
Well, no,
Damn it.
if you read the book, because the book is
My library
Classic
card is
Casino,
already
right? Like-
expired.
he's done the whole like space, basically galaxy. He's done it over 3 books, and like in book 3, he'll reference some shit that was on like one random page in book 1, and like unless you paid attention, like you won't really figure it out.
No.
I did the hyper focus because of my ADHD, which everybody's now aware of. Like I ended up tearing through that book in basically 2 days. I like sat one day, read like for 5 hours, went to work. The following day I was off and it was like raining. So I like opened the book in the morning and then like I closed it and it was night outside. And I was like, oh, that was like very, very nice. but that's another thing that could never be made into a movie.
What about Vlad? What about Stranger in a Strange Land? Why hasn't there been a movie made of that?
Which one?
Stranger in a Strange Land? Heinlein?
No, I don't think I've ever.
You've never heard of that book?
No.
It's a fucking classic sci-fi, man. It's a great book. And it's never been made into a movie.
No, never read it. Okay, something to add on my list. There's a movie. I always forget the name of it. It's not The Man Who Fell on Earth. It's another one. But everything happens in one room. They're sitting there, and he's an immortal guy who's been alive since he was like, Stone Age. And then he talks with a bunch of people. There's like a pastor. There's like someone who's a biologist. There's a bunch of other stuff going on there. Jesus, what's it called?
House of a Thousand Corpses. That whole entire series is good. That trilogy.
I don't know what that is. Oh, Rob, you're gonna jump in? Come on, buddy. Like
the Devil's Rejects, all that stuff.
All
the Rob
I can't
Zombie
remember
stuff.
what it's called.
How about Moon? Moon with Sam Rockwell.
Never watched it.
It's a great movie, and you get a lot of like 2001 vibes from that movie too. Great movie.
DJ Ryan is asking if you'll ever do an eyeball reveal.
I was born without eyes, bro.
I'm in the club now. I'm in the club with Michael.
Matt saw him for the first time.
I saw him, man. I saw him. Cataracts and all. I saw
glorious. They were glorious.
That's awesome. I thought the Martian was really well done.
Martian's good too. I like Interstellar a little bit more.
Yeah, they're kind of in a similar.
I felt like there was more substance.
That's a good question.
If you could choose one cigar to smoke for the rest of your life, what would it be? All right.
I hate that question. I fucking hate that question.
It's like trying to pick your favorite song.
Well, it's like, because I know even if like I love that cigar, obviously I do, at some point I'll grow to not like it, because it's just the best part about cigars is variety. And like, you kind of, I'll end up hating that cigar at some point, or just end up not smoking,
but
smoking very seldomly.
What about this? What about if you only ventured into cigars by smoking one cigar? Like if all you knew was one cigar, would you hate that cigar eventually?
I can't answer that. It's a paradox.
Now we're getting a little philosophical, right? I mean,
like you've never seen the color red.
Yeah.
Would you ever miss it as a color?
Would you know how to explain it? Right?
Yeah.
So
fuck.
I mean, I know. I know what mine would be. If I had to choose, I would do the Premier Crew, which I did for myself and no one else, and then people liked it. So because that was mine.
Yeah.
I made it for myself first and foremost, like completely selfish. If I had to choose something that's like not obvious, either from the brands that I distribute or I'm involved in any way, it would be a Oyo de Monterey Double Corona.
I like that.
It's a good choice.
I like that. Yeah.
Perfect on the beach where there's like coconut crabs around and like I can't really do anything, right? I'm cast away. Or like you can enjoy it in a tuxedo. Like it fits everywhere.
Yeah.
Fuck. I guess mine would be the Cohiba Bahiki, because at least I know I'm going to be able to resell that thing. No,
Serbian Sancho Panza Exclusivo, which is that would be.
Is that a regional?
Yeah, regional. They did 5,000 50 count boxes in 2015. Yeah, that would be, because it's a 109 format, and I absolutely love it.
That would be like mine, probably the Mundo Dante's 109.
The 2007, I have to tell you guys, the most peasant experience of all time. So this is like 2014. I did an advanced like La Casa del Habano training, right? And one of the things was like vintage cigars and like all of the other stuff. So one of my earliest mentors, Rabko, brings out some cigars, and he's like, "What would you like to smoke? You have a Roman Julieta Churchill from like 2005. You can alternatively try the Edmundo Dantes 2007. Up to you. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I've had the Churchill before. Like this is just with extra age. I'll have the Edmundo Dantes. So I smoked it. And it was it's the first vintage cigar I ever had. And in Cuban terms, vintage means at least 7 years of age. So I light it up, absolutely fall in love with it. It's a 3-day course, like 4 hours every day, 4 or 5 hours, whatever it was. And then the second or the third day, they were like, do you want to revisit any of the other cigars? And me being a peasant, I'm like, yeah, can I get, it's like, you can get 2 more. And I'm like, okay, well, how about this? I'll grab the 2 Edmundo Dantes and I'll pay for the Churchill and I'll smoke it now. They're like, yeah, that works. So I buy the Churchill and take the 2 Edmundo Dantes. So I smoked the Churchill. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great. Like a week passes by and it's a random Tuesday, literally like after lunch. And it wasn't like anything special. I take out the Edmundo Dantes, smoke, and I'm like, oh, this is like super cool. Another like 2 weeks pass by and I'm like, oh, yeah. Like I open my little humidor. I'm like, oh, yeah, I totally forgot about this cigar. This is awesome. So I smoke it, right? Like not a ton of presence, appreciation, any of the other things that I should have paid that cigar. I just remember it being really good. About a week. So this is like three or 4 weeks in. So I see Zdravko again and I'm like, hey, do you have any more of those? He's like, I'm like, I just want to grab like 1 or 2. He's like, my man, that's been out of production for like 7 years.
Yeah.
That's like never getting remade again.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, I am a peasant. Like, I've literally just like smoked this casually and like didn't care about it, right? Like, I'll never be able to source this again or get it. I'm just like, oh, this is cool. Tuesday, like this works. I'm like, oh, I'm still kicking myself about that one because it was really, really good.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah.
But yeah, great choice.
You have one for forever.
Well, one for I do. The one cigar that like I'm thinking that I've had fairly recently that just blew me the fuck away with its depth of flavor. There's just so much to it. It was the Davidoff shop exclusive for Maximar.
Great choice.
That I got from Paul Patel, and that thing fucking just, there's so much nuance and just so much intense depth of flavor to that cigar that I feel like having it as the only cigar that I could have could potentially like make me not end up hating it at some point. And just it's such a quality cigar.
You've completely actually changes from me. You're right. That's for the Cuban side. The non-Cuban side would be the Wagner from Davidoff. I think it is one of the finest combinations of leaves that ever put together in the last 50 years. And if you ever find one, please let me know. It is 2004, I think. I have it written down somewhere for the book. It is absolutely incredible. The alternative would be the Especial 7, right? The original Robusto, they made in 2005 or 6. I was lucky to be gifted 4 of them. And true to Davidoff's quality, consistency, and everything else that makes it $30 plus a pop, I have almost never had an experience like that where every single puff was different. I remember smoking for the first time on one of my birthdays. I went into a shop, and again, it was Tuesday. Went to my local shop, said hi, Tonto, and I'm like, hey, how are you doing? He's like, would you like a cigar? Or would you like a coffee? So I'm like, yeah, sure. So I take a puff, and we're talking. And about 2 minutes into the conversation, I go, Anto, don't take this against me. I'm just going to focus on this. And I spent 90 minutes, like, enjoying every single moment of it. Every single puff was different. Absolutely incredible. And when I finished, I literally the nub was literally, I burned my lips actually. Like that's how I smoked it down to here. Like there was nothing left.
Yeah.
I put that down and literally said this was one of the most incredible cigar experiences I ever had.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Ooh, okay. So this is the question for you guys. Smoking on beach in Florida.
Well, John still needs to.
Oh, right? I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I have like.
Oh, you're fine. I hate this question too. I don't know, man. I mean, two that I've had. I'm not as experienced as y'all, but 2 I had that were just amazing recently was the Jack Schwartz Bowl, the Andalusian Bowl, and then the Angel Share Opus X was just delicious for So yeah, I would say maybe between those two. Yeah.
Very, very good. DJ, did you say what one you would do?
No, because not yet. Because it's not like the best cigar you've ever had, but it's the one that you could enjoy consistently, right?
Sure.
So I'd probably go with either the CAO Flathead or the My Father Connecticut.
I keep hearing good things about that, My Father.
I wouldn't get tired of either of those cigars.
Yeah.
And you can't go too light because you'll get bored eventually. And if you go too heavy, you won't want to smoke it half the time.
Yeah.
I would actually throw that My Father into that potential starter cigars now that you mentioned it. That's actually a great idea.
The My Father Connecticut as like a new smoker.
Yeah, because as long as you give them a heads up that they will hit some spice because that's the flavor profile.
Yeah.
And so if they're receptive to it, that would be an option. That's a great, like you're right. If you want to focus on it, gives you a plethora of everything, right? Everything but the kitchen sink. If you just want to smoke it because it's good and it's kind of like background music, fantastic. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a great call.
Yeah.
Speaking of beaches.
Beach cigars and tips for smoking at the beach.
So I know Florida passed out for some of the beaches that you can't smoke cigars on, but I don't think anybody's really enforcing because it's Florida. Yeah, you said it, not me. So
It's lawless out there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's really like enforcing them. No, just light it up and enjoy.
Yeah,
enjoy the ocean breeze.
Careful of the wind with the burn, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Don't smoke
Expect it to not stay lit, and you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Texas,
guys, we're
no gatekeepers. Probably not.
No.
Shots fired. We're at 316, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've done it. I think we've done it, guys.
Yeah, you all
Even without
the world record for the Corona.
Oh, Sanj, man. Sanj had us on here for, what was it, 3 hours and
40
50
something? Yeah.
Yeah.
346 or 347.
Yeah.
Just so you know, you were a lot gracious with the. You were a lot more gracious with the.
With the floor.
With the floor.
Yeah. That was a lot of just nodding.
Yeah. We all went inside and like we were commenting about to each other the following week when we got on because we were like we need to do a live stream now just with us, no guests, so that we can just like hyper focus on us talking. And we were all like commenting in the beginning. We were like, yeah, you know, my wife, she was like, why was nobody talking? We were just sitting there listening to songs the whole time.
We're learning.
It was absolutely fantastic.
I'm like the dog from Up. Like you just have to stop me because otherwise I'll be like scroll. Like just stop at some point, like cut me off. And like I don't get if someone cuts me off, I don't get offended or anything. Just like cut me off and like point me in the direction. Okay, like hey buddy, you're going like you're good. Like you're good. You're good. Yeah, exactly.
You're
like
you're good.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining. Vlad, awesome to talk to you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Awesome to.
I'd love to jump on again from my own computer next time, so I don't have to like, damn immigrants here just like taking other people's iPhones and AirPods. Like, but no, seriously, this was really great. I really had a blast talking with you guys, and if you'll ever have me again, we can do it like structured. If you want me to talk about anything, or we can argue about movies again.
We like
Mortal Engines before
yeah, that's our homework.
It's legitimately it's a self-conscious movie, and I think that's why it's fun watching it.
Have not.
Oh, for sure. We'll definitely check it out. And thank you to Peter for being the mod tonight.
Yeah, thanks
to him.
Peter.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I think that does it, guys.
Cool, boys.
It's a good time.
See y'all soon.
All right, we'll see each other for the next live stream.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Cool.
All right,
See
see
ya.
ya.
Peace.
Bye.